Tak vypadá, že se nám to spustilo, tak zdravím všechny u dalšího streamu Starcitizen. Dlouho jsem neměl žádný stream, protože bylo hezky venku, tak jsme makalo na věcech různě. Takže dneska se chystáme kouknout na CitizenCon Direct 2955. Zvědavě, co tam nám ukážou. Zatím si pustíme tady nějaký videjko, co jsou z poslední doby. Ve 4.3.2 máme nějaký, no 4.3.1 máme nějaký nový mise, nový místa, nový facility, Onyx, ASD, nebo ASD, a říkám to správně, ASD. Jsou docela pěkně udělaný. Je to trošku do hororu, ale starcitizen je prostě všechno. No, je to dobrý, no. Tam krmíte ten generátor těma lidma mrtvýma, který jste postřídali. Takže jako docela vtipný, no. Ještě jedno videjko si dáme. To je úplně poslední. Jo, když by to všechno fungovalo vždycky, jak má. Občas jo, občas ne. Tady se to střílí misi docela. Je to lepší dělat ve více lidech. Aspoň ve dvou. Jedno mi to napřed. Jo, je to rozpitvaný vandůl. Spíš jako Silent Hill, nebo něco takového, ale je to pořád ten starcitizen. No, jsem tady připravil nějaký videa, jsem mrkli, co si myslím, že budu očekávat, že to bude to 2hodinový video o čem? Base building. Snad se nám tady to přiblíží, že to bude, doufujeme, příští rok. Že tady to je z minulého roku z CitizenConu 2954. No, na to jsou všichni natěšení. Doufám, že nám o tom něco David řeknou, tak se podíváme tady na chvilku. What's go. Jo. No, ale už to musím mít hotový, když to budeme v tom točí video, že jo. We found a beautiful location by a lake. This is where we build ourselves a home. To do so, we need some resources and the construction graph card. The construction graph card allows us to survey the land, claim the land in a lawful system, and it allows us to build structures. Konstrukční vozítko, který nám zmapuje lokaci, přivlastní si ji a začne budovat baráky. Boom. A je to z třetího pohledu. Jako Age of Empires. Jsem na tady dozvědavý, no. Je tady to vytasej. Doufám, že nám o tom řeknou něco. V tom videu, co bude. For this demo, the construction will be instantaneous, but in the final product, this will take you quite some time. We've done it. We've built our first structure. Let's have a look on the inside. As we walk into the small basic structure, we see an empty interior that is dimly lit. It's up to us to define what we will use this space for. In our case, we will want to make it into a home. We can see that the lights are still off, and that is a problem, because no lights means no atmosphere, no breathable atmosphere. So it's not ideal to live in. So how do we solve this issue? Jsem generátor.
Providing the building with power. Let's see if we can build something that helps us out.
Přehodit velký přiblížení.
Let's take a quick moment to enjoy the freedom that the survey drone provides us with and admire the aesthetics of our first structure.
A už tam chodí, nosí vle židličky. No, je to work in progress už celý rok, takže jsem na to zvědavej.
Providing structures need to be hooked up to other buildings inside construction ER mode, but we'll explain this later. The fuel generator is one of several structures that provides power, each with their own benefit and drawbacks. Fuel power is quick and easy to build, but it requires a constant supply of fuel besides its regular maintenance. If a structure is not maintained, it will halt its activity. Players will need to maintain fuses to keep the building operational. The better crafted fuse, the longer it lasts. This is where the fuse goes on this building. Next up, we have a terminal that gives us access to the status of the building. And, more importantly, we get to activate it here.
Generátor zapnutý a už nám to všechno svítí. Paráda.
I wonder what he was up to earlier though. Wow, Declan has been busy decorating the place. As we can see, the lights are now properly working. We got atmosphere, and we can start to use the item fabricator now that there is power. Always handy in case we need a fuse. Let's have a quick look at what we've done so far. We've decorated the place. We made it our own little home. We hooked it up with power. I would say we have a place that we can live in.
No.
It might not be much, but I think it's just enough to call it a home. Thank you. Now that we have a rough understanding of how base building works, let's dive into some of the specifics of what we just saw.
No.
The construction graph card is one of 4 devices used for base building. The graph card is a mobile device that lets you construct a variety.
No a minulý rok vole prodávali Galaxy, vole, která měla dělat base building a vole nakonec na base building vysrali úplně, vole, a lidi si nakoupili Galaxy, že budou dělat baráky, vole, a nic se nestalo, vole. Takže lidi jsou trošku nasraní asi.
When we're on a lawful system like Stanton, and most importantly, it lets us build structures. To use the graph card, we will first need to deploy it. Once deployed, we see 2 small construction domes inside the card, and the interactive screen gets revealed to us. From here, we can deploy the survey drone from the extended top part of the card.
No to jak mluví o dronech, to je taky Bůh ví kdy, ty. Spousta lodí má mít drony a nic takového se neděje zatím.
Here's a concept of construction ER. From here we get a more detailed view of the land. Where can and can't I settle? For an example, inside a nature reserve, construction will be prohibited. Are nearby areas flat enough to place my structures on? Are there any underground extraction deposits nearby? And if so, what are their quality and quantity? Let's say we found a good place to start building our base. Then next up, we need to find a good place for our first structure. On the left-hand side, we can see that we're now structure creation. Underneath that, there is a list
vzory budov
that we can build.
Všeho možného.
Once you have chosen a
Jsem na to
structure,
zvědavej,
you'll
no.
drag it onto the terrain.
To je base building. Co tam je dalšího? Co by se mělo ukázat? Nix. Tak. Byl to v nějakých líkách, člověk tomu se nevyhne, když čují na Twitter, vole, celý den, tak vole, občas se tam objeví nějaký spoilery. Jakože by tam měl být Nix. A slavné Levsky. Ta slavná díra v zemi. Teďkon tu bude díra v nějakým meteoritu, koukám. A kde bude asi hodně rušno.
Awesome. All right. So this is Nix system. Nix was discovered in 2582 by Carl and Larry during the height of the newly formed United Empire of Earth's territorial expansion.
Nějaká storka k tomu.
Defining feature and the source of its name is the sprawling black dust cloud. that occupies most of the system. The dust cloud severely hampers visibility and can interfere with your ship's scanners. This system does, however, border with vandal space. So,
Hraniční systém s vandulama, pěkný.
vandal raiding parties hitting locations throughout the system. But despite this, a small community has formed in the system, and this is on an asteroid in the belt between Nix-2 and Nix-3, and this asteroid is called Delmar.
Takže Delmar není už planeta, ale je to asteroid.
And here it is, hidden deep in the glacium ring. But actually, Delmar should be, and now is, an actual asteroid. And, as it's an asteroid, the space is a zero-G location, giving a unique identity for a landing zone. So let's take a closer look at the main POI on Delmar.
Je to o dost větší díra, než to bývalo, ale je to o dost takový propracovanější. Dřív tam byl jeden výtah, pár oken, to bylo všechno. Teď tam koukám nějaký hangáry, dokovací stanice. Venkovní přistávací plochy, tamhle zádu prkuje akorát nich Caterpillar. A nějaká C2. No.
Awesome. So, for all that remember, it's awesome to be able to say welcome back.
Tady to už, když je v tom videu, tak to už taky musí mít hotový, ty vole, už rok, vole, ne? Já nevím, jestli dělají, vole, jenom vizuální video, vole, nebo je to už točený ve hře, to video.
There is an internal network of abandoned tunnels and mine shafts, and these are now populated with refugees, fugitives and criminals.
Klasická socha.
To the People's Alliance, who you'll be doing some work for. And as Levski was made some time back, it needed to be updated so that it can fit into current gameplay features and systems and mission loops. So, let's take a look at the first update, and that is to the hangars and landing surfaces.
Jo, to budou ty nový hangáry a přistávací plochy. No, je tam docela dost, no. Tady dok. Ještě než Polaris byla ve hře. No a tady se spada vynoří do Kraken, na kterého se čeká taky už léta. No jo, přesně tak.
Is still perched over the borehole, but now has a suite of hangars that are arrayed around and inside the borehole. We're also increasing the quantity of hangers. This is to meet
Jsem bude možný udělat homebase. Bude to bude jako Grimhex. Uvidíme.
This patch will be done for all landing zones in the game right now. And for players that don't want to store their ship, docking services will be added high up on the cliff walls.
To jo, no, ale pro kolik lodí, vole.
And docking services, there are other ways to enter the location, which are also getting new updates. Let's take a look.
Neříkej, že to nemají už hotový tady to. Mluvili před ránem 21, mluvili o tom planetech, kdy říkali, že vlastně mají engine na vyrábění planet a všeho, že tam zadají jenom údaj, jak to má vypadat a ono jim to vyprdne planetu, ale... A to bylo 21, to už je 4 roky zpátky, no, skoro 5. Už s nákladníma výtahama, vole. Který byly, vole, rozbitý skoro celý rok, vole. Teď už to až tak funguje, ale v podstatě, vole, třeba dněma jsem dělal misi, vole, jsem si naložil z jednoho místa 3 zakázky, zase mi najednou, pak jsem vydal do výtahu najednou všechny 3 zakázky a i když jsem výtah to zaregistroval, ukázalo mi to na obrazovce, tam jsou 3 ty mise ve výtahu, tak když jsem to uložil, stělil dolů ten výtah, tak prostě ty vole, to uzavřelo jenom jednu misi a druhý 2 prostě zůstaly neuzavřený, vole, když jsem tam dodal všechny věci, vole. Takže výtahy jsou furt rozbitý v podstatě. Možná jsem to tam měl nastrkat po jednom, no, nevím. No, ale měl jsem to smíchaný celý, vole, takže... Takže to je další věc, lesky, počkej, jsem to chtěl ještě něco. Kastra, Sherman, to je to přistávací bylo. Další věc, očekávám. CitizenCon Directu, že bude něco o sociálních věcích, jako jsou party a Mobiglass, to je předělaný, takže doufám, že se na Tateu o tady tom taky dozvíme nějaké věci. Protože to by už mohlo taky fungovat, jo, to už taky dělají přes rok. No, takže doufejme, že se tohle zase objeví taky, o tom budu mluvit v tomhle videu dnešním. Doufejme. Že tady to je taky potřeba, vole, ten Mobiglass starý už, vole, předělat ten komps.
And that also means that you can accept and receive invites to and from Spectrum even while you're offline. And throughout this presentation, any functionality that is shared between the game and the web and the launcher, we're aiming to synchronize across all. And speaking of synchronizing, when we have multiple characters, your friends will be shared across all of them too. Nice.
Dají několik charakterů, jo, to je jako postav, jo. To jsem taky zvědavej.
What are we doing to help management of huge friends list? Nice humble brag. Well, in fact, we are giving you the ability to add notes to your friends list, so you can remember, hey, this is that cosplayer that I met at CitizenCon 2954. Or
I
maybe
see
it's
Twitch.
JJ's super weird
But
username. This is J.
Disco is a real cool guy, YouTube. There you go.
Aha, tady už se něco děje. Discolando má nějaký proslov.
Kenzo says Disco is not a cool guy.
Nevím, no, co s tím dělají takový drama, no, mají normálně pustit video a je to hotový, ne? Že by to bylo jakoby, že by to komentovali živě. Zajímavá myšlenka.
Alright, next question, chat. How many fingers am I holding up?
Jeden, vole, ten prostřední. Píše, tam je nějaký prodlení mezi Twitchem a YouTubem, no tak to je normální, vole, YouTube je vždycky, vole, nějakých, vole, 35-40 sekund později ve vysílání. Takže co, tady se nic neděje, tady, vole, začala pár akorát žvanit internet. To je všechno. Aha. Tak nám tady pustili pěknou obrazovku. Super. No, takže to si střelím tady vedlevo, kdyby náhodou něco dělal, bych o to nepřišel. Podíváme se dál, co tady máme, co jsme skončili sociální vesmír.
You can add people to a favorites list, meaning that the people that you interact with most in the game are always going to be shown at the top of your friends list for your convenience.
No, jak jsem říkal, tady to by taky chtělo konečně předělat.
Into the social app. And
Social app, ano.
who are you going to call? That's the question. You're going to call your friends. You're going to call your party. So this is where it should live.
Seems to have got a lot of UEC there as well, Ben.
I swear to God, I didn't dupe any cargo. This is just my personal allowance.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, so that's all cool for your close buddies, but the one thing that always happens when you meet people is that some of them aren't nice. Abusers, pad rammers, active griefers, you know? Currently, we can't do anything about that in the game. What are we doing to help the situation?
So, in addition to the friends list, we're also now going to have a block list. And we like to think of block people as reverse friends. They're just people that you really don't want to talk to anymore. So, what we're trying to do is we're
The party list. So, with also just like we did with the friends list, we're adding rich presents here as well. But for the party system, that's gonna make it easy for you to find interesting and engaging gameplay. It's basically player-powered matchmaking. So, if you're looking for more players,
Zajímavý.
just go in here.
Další věc, co jsem chtěl ukázat, jestli se bude tam objevovat. Na tohle si úplně taky nezapomněli. Byl jeden z posledních kousků vlastně na minulém CitizenConu. To bylo to base building, ta obrovská stanice ve vesmíru, kterou si vytvoří hráči sami. Na to jsem taky zvědavý, jestli se na to zapomnělo, nebo vám to připomenou. Co se tady děje? Aha. Že oni nás takhle budou napínat, jo. No. Zvědavý, jestli tady o tom povědí další nějaký věci, protože tady to je hodně zajímavý. Mít svoji vlastní stanici, takovou organizace. Vůbec by to nebylo špatný. A taky, jestli je to video, nebo jenom jako video, nebo jestli tady to je opravdu už někde ve hře udělali v nějakém engineu, to měli hotový, už by to mělo teoreticky mělo být hotový taky po tom roce. Nechápu. Jestli mají prostě tým, který dělá jenom videa, aby to nějak vypadalo.
Let me introduce you to player space stations. Finally, you can build your home amongst the stars.
Konečně můžete vybudovat svůj domov pod hvězdami. A už říkal, jako by to bylo hotová věc, ty vole. Rok, pryč, nic. No, bude hodně materiálu, no. Bude to velký požírat času. Další nějaký klípek. Ach jo.
Once it's created, the supply bay then handles the creation of the station itself. Now, we're in grey box development phase, so the artwork's not final. But let's go on the journey and start building our space base.
Tak, jak se to bude celý budovat? Potřebuješ nějakého týpka s lešením samozřejmě. A vlastně tady tu stanici bude moct vytvořit jenom pionír, což je to jedna speciální loď. Největší vlastně base buildingová ta základna nebo loď, bych se dalo říct. Tady je obrovská tiskárna vesmírná, do který budete spát z jedné stranice boxy a z druhé strany bude líst stanice. To bude zajímavý. Jak tohle chtějí myslet, no ale už tady to taky vypadá, že jako by to bylo hotový. No, když vezmete, že na téhle lodi je nějakých 4000 SU kontejnerů, to bude něco. Má další.
Doesn't give a shit. Bob is too busy reading a funny post online.
Klasický přistání. Když čumí člověk někam jinam, no. Ach je. Tak prolkačujeme v prohlížení stanice. Jo, to není tiskárna, to je supply bay. OK.
So as you saw, the cargo grid of the supply bay consumes resources. And the required resources
Kde máme supply bay, vole? To je kus pilníra, nebo co to je? Nejspíš, vole.
So this means orgs will be encouraged to have efficient logistic networks to feed the supply bay. And as Rich outlined with professions, it's ideal if your org is well-rounded in terms of roles. Even the starter player can contribute. The supply bay has automated construction drones, which are used to create the station. And unlike ground bases, many drones are used at once to create the base.
Zase drony,
Once the station is
které
built,
nejsou
the
funkční
supply
teďka.
bay then integrates into the station itself. So here we are. We've built our core station module.
No, buma, je to.
And it's big. And our
No, jak je ten hangár velký, vole, jestli je to vole,
readily built
extra large.
functionality.
To by bylo jako dost hodně dobrý.
Right on the top is the bridge, which is the command deck. This is where all further construction is going to be managed. From here, we can then monitor the status of the entire station. We have access to power and water management. Power and cooling is something you'll need to consider carefully. It also is an area to set permissions for who can enter particular areas.
Ten turec obrovský, ty vole. Doufejme, že budou fungovat turety.
And the terminals to access logs of who has visited the station and see what they did. So let's jump back in game and take a stroll through our bridge.
Tak to není. Je to large hangar. Není to extra large. Takže velký lodě jenom asi dokovat. Jako 890 Reclaimer nebo Idris třeba. Polaris. To vypadá hezky. Skoro jako new babič.
Super awesome. The back of the bridge leads to a centralized transit network. This
Neboli výtah.
physically connects the entire station and provide access to the various decks.
Jistě
Each
výtah.
station will have a centralized lobby area, and this is your station. You'll be able to use the decorator mode, so you'll have plenty of space to think.
No místo je tam dekorace, vole, plná prdel, no to bude, vole.
And speaking of having plenty of space, this space station will have a one-to-one interior layout matching the exterior. No magic elevators. So you can circumnavigate around the entire perimeter, and it's wonderful. Okay, let's jump back in.
Co tady ten homelessák se tam válí? Jo, to bude potřeba, vole, takový do buginy, aby jsme tam jezdili potom, jak to je velký.
All right. As you can see, right at the
Jo, zase nějaký videjko.
Come on down and you tell Scooter sent you. Y'all have a good evening.
No. Kistinu konec, ty vole, seru na to. Necháme to takhle.
bottom of the central trans.
No, špatný. Tak čtvrthodinku už počkáme, uvidíme nějaký videjka, což jsou od, jak jsem pochopil, od lidí z horou Starcitizen. Jako máme pěknou řádku content creatorů. Jsme s Orgem taky se pokusili natočit nějaký story. Bylo to docela zajímavá zkušenost. Pak se nám na to šéfík vybodnul, protože byl z toho nějaký špatný starcitizen, že furt se něco mění, furt něco nefunguje. Tak se vrátil ke hraní GTA 5, udělal si nový kanál. Kdy to říkal, že se vrátí? Při nějaký příležitosti už ani nevím, no. Ale tak uvidíme. Tak, ale už jsem dopil, tak si dáme něco ostřejšího. To byly videjka podle mě do nějaký ty soutěže, co mě dělal CIG. Kolik lidí na to kouká? 17 000, to je pěkný. Když jsou jenom titulky. Možná to vleze na nějakých 20, co uvidíme. Ale stejně zajímavý minulý rok, to byl CitizenCon úplně šílený, ty vole, Manchesteru, ale obrovský. A teď řekli, ne, stálo to moc peněz. Děláme to digitálně. Jsem vážně zvědavý, co tam vymyslej. Byl zase nějaký kopium. Jo, release Kraken. Jasně. Tak na zdraví. 10 minut. Určitě představit taky nějaký loděnový. Uvidíme. Tady mám takovou tabulku. Co se asi očekává, takže pak to tady pěkně zaškrtáme postupně a uvidíme, jak jsme se pletli nebo nepletli. To je ostrý, jo. To ještě když byl jak se to jmenuje, loď tady ta druhá, ale to pirátská, ale ještě měla přepálení zbraně, ale než to nerfli, ale. Hlavně já mám to Herkulese taky, ale mám M2, což je jakoby s brněním, ale který mi mělo vydržet něco trošku víc než obyčejná C2. Se tam vejde o trošku míň, ale má to aspoň turet navíc a brnění, který dává ty lodi větší šanci přežít, když se něco posere. Kde je to nitrovec? My jsme taky neslyšeli 2 roky, možná 3, to byl Corsair. klik. Klasický výtak, ale to... To se nestávalo tolik, že by vás výtah sejmul. No. Spíš ty tramvaje, co jezdili na New Babbage, ty byly spíš nebezpeční, že vylítli do nástupiště a sebrali tam vždycky nějaký lidi a zahodili na koleje. Tak to na kolika jsme ti... 21 000, co to tam naskočilo rychle. No, takže Chrysobec tam bude. Takže... To máme. No, vypadalo to, že jsem měl vypnutý zvuk plochy, že všechno bylo slyšet jenom přes mikrofon, tak snad je lepší. A tu si řešíme dobře a... Moc daleko. No, 2 minutky. Dvě minutky a budem tam. Uvidíme, no. Věřím, že ten Nix asi propálí, že bude prý je to už v herních souborech. Ve fourpacku, tak uvidíme. Takže tady vyhodíme chat. A jdeme na to. 4K, jo.
This year has marked a turning point in Star Citizen's history. We have finally moved past the question of whether we can build an architecture, deliver a universe with incredible detail at massive scale, seamlessly and where thousands of people can all play together. Server meshing has been working pretty much flawlessly at scale for the past 9 months. It has brought a more populated and active verse, with up to 700 players online and in the same space at once. It's greatly increased server performance and delivered a much more responsive player experience. I couldn't be prouder of the team. They delivered something no other online game does presently. There may be other games out there that claim
No, server meshing funguje, no, už 9 měsíců.
but none do it in our detail, scale, and seamlessness. Of course, there will be continued improvements to server meshing and to Star Engine, but having moved past this last big technological hurdle has allowed us to finally focus on quality of life and stability improvements, something that has long been overdue. We're about to deliver our ninth patch in 10 months.
Stabilita.
For Star Citizen storytelling into new and exciting directions. We pushed more than 24 features and more than 2,000 bug fixes. And while there is still a long way to go, the game has gotten more stable, performant, and fun as a result. We see this in player metrics. More of you play every day. The daily average users is up 45% from last year, and your play time is up 15%. So more people venture out into the verse and stay there longer than ever.
25% víc hráčů a 50% herního času, jo. Chtěla by to čísla. Nějaký.
Where the instability in Pyro and the callous actions of some paved the way to new adventures, new locations, and new threats. Last year, we announced our next star system would be Nyx, home to the People's Alliance of Energy, bordering the Vandal threat. Today, we're proud to share that your adventures in Nyx begin not next year, but next month, when Star System comes online in Alpha 4.4. 2 new systems in 1 year. That's only possible because of the tireless work of our development teams.
That's good.
Meshing accelerating what's possible, the support teams behind the scenes, and most importantly, all of you. Now, I do miss that we're not all together under one roof this year, but in many ways, we're more connected than ever. Across the globe, many of you are gathering at watch parties, 9 of them with our developers in attendance, and countless others springing up in communities everywhere, and all have...
Tyjo, takže Nyx během měsíce. To je hustý. Líky byly pravdivé. No, už jsem si tady cvaknul Jacka jednoho, vole. Ke strojům. Díky za skvělou hru. Aha, je tady díra v zemi. Nyx. Levsky. $32 000. Hustý. Co to bylo? Co to kurva bylo? Nová loď? Samozřejmě to byla nová loď. Nazdar, Taylor.
the content development of the game is no longer restricted.
Oh, Richard,
Allowing
sorry.
us to forge ahead with building out our first 5-star systems. Nix will see the much-loved Levski landing zone added back to the verse, while also bringing you one of its most iconic landmarks, the Glazing Bell. Here, you'll experience a new combined arms operation that will introduce new factions and new adventures for you to discover. With this edition of our 3rd star system, we're also going to do something that's at the heart of the entire star system experience, and that is to build it right in front of you. As we've done this year, with the addition of several major locations, such as the Hackle facility or the Lazarus complex, we will continue to unveil new Nix content throughout the year. It's a slightly different approach to how we deliver Pyro, but we feel this gets the content into your hands sooner and shows our intent as we continue our march towards 1.0. I'm so incredibly proud of the work our teams have done and are continuing to do, and we're excited to have you on this next step of our journey. And as with any journey in Star Citizen, that begins with a little story.
Takže 2 systémy během 1 roku v Pyro a Nix. To je hustý, no. Takže příští rok by mohly být zbylý 2. Wow.
Two major storylines spanning multiple patches, creating a living backbone for adventure across the universe. The first was Pyro Must Burn. It connected Stanton to Pyro and introduced the frontier fighters, who are relentless, brutal, and determined to wipe out any threats that cross them. And with this month's release, you'll now take part in the conclusion to that storyline. The second was Science Run Amok, with the regen crisis throwing the Empire into chaos, and you all jumping in to help the various corporations respond. Through that journey, we pulled back the curtain on ASD and its shady practices, uncovering long-forgotten Onyx facilities, and met new characters like Dr. Logan Yorick and Detective Arkham Mellor of the Hokro Agency. And just like the Pyro Must Burn storyline carried us into a new system, Science Run Amok is now setting the stage for Nix, the next step in the larger story we're telling on the road to 1.0. As this new chapter of Star Citizen begins, let's hear from just a few of the team members working to bring this next era of our universe to life.
Nový facility, Onyx, Ator, ASD, nový story, nový Mission Givers. Skenovací terapie. Wow, to vypadá dobře, ty vole. Expanded into the system and tried to mine as much as they could, making a very slim margin by the sheer quantity of resources they were pulling out.
The system itself sort of ran its course from sort of a large corporate interest perspective, and then was mostly left abandoned.
Now this ended up being the ideal situation for the People's Alliance, who were a group of revolutionaries who were trying to overthrow the dictatorship of the Messer regime that was going on in the Empire at the time.
So they went to the next system and established what became known as Levski. They wanted to make it everything that the UE wasn't at this time.
They set up what they saw as their ideal society, where everyone's voices would be heard, where everyone would be equal. But they've fallen into hard times. So Nix today is kind of at an interesting point in its history. Now that the UE has kind of transformed itself into a democratic society, what is the role, what are the People's Alliance rebelling against? And they still see the Empire as being inherently unfair. They see their role as still trying to create a free and fair society. But on the other hand, they have more problems than ever, and there's new threats lurking around in every corner. And they have to ask... No, tak pan teďka lidi se někam uklidili a měli z toho ještě větší problémy, než byly někde fungovali, jo. Dobrý story.
you approach it from kind of two angles in a weird way. What is this system bringing to the gallery? How does this new system plug into it? And what does it bring to the table from a sort of a flavor experience? We want to make sure that whatever it's bringing to the company is unique and has some flair to it. The Nix system is a remote system where people want to go and live free outside of the pressure and influence of the UE. It's a remote and rugged system with a lot of hostility coming from the ever-present threat of Vandal.
It's kind of like a frontier-esque thing. It's not lawless like Pyro, it's just kind of out there. Pyro is more like a Mad Max wasteland, and Nix is more like Silverado or like Deadwood, right? It's kind of like a smaller scope.
The emptiness and the loneliness is the defining factor. You're still going to find gangs, you're still going to find hostile presences, but it's where people go if they want to live off the grid.
The People's Alliance is the main peacekeeping force in Nix.
They were unhappy with the direction that the Empire is going under the Messers. They got out. They said, we're just going to start from scratch, build our own society, but build it the way that we think it needs to be built.
They're not perfect. They're just people, but they're doing their best. They want to help keep Nix safe and make it prosper.
They are trying to do the best that they can.
Takže nová frakce lidí, která odešla z područí UEA, čili si žít svůj život svobodně, ne pod Empirem. Jo, to je pěkný tohle. Budu zase lítat po různých meteorologických seskupení a slintat nad šutrákama, jak jsou pěkně poskládaný.
So because Nix is bordering Vandal space, it was important that we have a gap in the Nix gas cloud where you could sort of just in between the clouds see a piece of the Vandal space.
No, takže to je vandalský prostor, dáme to. Tam bude no vstup.
So if you point your ship in the direction of it, you should find as we build it out that you will be in more and more danger. And I think that's really cool.
Víc a víc nebezpečí, čím se víc člověk přiblíží k vandalskému prostoru.
Look towards the sun, you can sort of see that sort of like sparkle, but then when you look away from the sun, you'll see the reflections and sort of like little glints of light.
No, to bude zase moc pěkný.
For the jump points in Nix, we'll have two on this release. We'll have one from Pyro to Nix and one from Stanton to Nix. It should be going from Nix to Castra, but we're essentially bypassing Castra temporarily.
Hey, we want to make sure you can get there any way you want.
Glacian Belt is a huge asteroid belt that is in sort of the middle of the system.
Glacian Belt is a combination of a bunch of technologies that we already had. The asteroid fields we use for planetary rings and the gas clouds.
Takže bude tam nějaký glaciální pás meteoritů, obrovský prej. V tom bude pravděpodobně schovaný ten Nix, Levsky. No, tak v tímhle to asi dohle těžko uděláš, kámo. Lukáš Chovanec. České zastoupení v CIG, výborně. To vidím poprvé. Týpka.
Always feel way more interesting flying in those spaces than just, empty void.
And as we build out the glacial build next year, lots of places to put new content.
Delmar is a very large asteroid in the glacial belt
Delamar teda. Ten steroid a Levsky je stanice na něm. Ty jo, vypadá to fakt úžasně. Ježišmarja. San Francisco ne, prosím vás, hlavně to ne.
Over the years, you're sort of improving the generation method of those asteroids to culminate towards this specific point to make large explorable location. When you fly towards the left, you see this huge gas ring around it, scattered small, mid-sized pieces of the asteroids. Levsky is immediately apparently unique by the fact that it's a facility clamped onto the side of an asteroid. The breathtaking views of looking into the belts instantly gives it a unique charm and flavor.
As you approach, you'll initially see a very dramatic borehole that goes all the way through the asteroid. You'll also see...
No, vypadá to trošku jinak než těch videí, co jsem malinko. A je to už takový ostřejší. Jako kdyby to fakt už bylo v in-game engineu, jo, bylo hotový.
We were using an actual planet, so we had all of the space available to place all of these structures. But now it kind of meant that we had to create an asteroid which has the appropriate size to...
If we took the whole shot of the asteroid, you will see that there is an area to fly underneath. We plan on bringing in whole sea gameplay, so this is exterior cargo elevators, so
takže to se jenom vole. Ty vole, no. Tak to byly jenom výtahy na halsí. Aby na vykládání to bylo docela jako hodně výtahů, tyjo, to je jako docela dobrý. Se odrážel, jako kdyby plaval, ty vole.
Unlike the majority of anarchists living in Pyro, there are people here in Nix that care.
It's not a downtrodden or derelict, dilapidated location. It has a sense of order, but only where the People's Alliance has people living.
We've had Levsky before, and we've updated it quite substantially.
Měli velký update tomu, jo. Je to trošku větší, tak 5krát větší podle mě. Předtím to byla jenom díra v zemi, teď je to takový tunel skrz ten meteorit. Skrz ten Delamar. Král Walter, no jo. Tak to je stejný. Výborně.
And was killed for it. And so he became a sort of a figurehead
and kind of was one of the linchpin moments in seeing the fall of the Messer regime.
So if you take the elevator up to the top deck, you'll see the top view and the cargo area as well. So you can go through the cargo shop. You've got your normal kind of cargo leads.
Novinka, to nebylo. Samozřejmě.
So if you were to die in the Nix system, then one of the places you might come out from is the hospital in Levsky, which is called the Mercy Hospital.
To taky nebylo, taky nový.
Local med station for all the residents of Levsky, anybody traveling through the system, trying to provide as good medical help for people.
When
you arrive at the location, you're presented with a lobby, elevator bank, and then you take that transit to the hab room. So within that room will be pods.
And that's where the original miners would have lived. They're not the nicest, and they're a bit messy, but they're a home to people in this team.
Vypadá to dobře, není to jako Pyro, všude bordel. No jo. Tak to vypadá stejně a to. Je to skoro stejný. To nechali zachovali ty původní tvary. Jo. Tady se koupilo všechno, ty vole. Jo, tady byl nejlepší výběr bouchaček, vole. No, nějakýho mission givera, vole. Bude velký, no. To bude opravdu velký, ty vole. Teacher's shop, vole. To vypadá stejně, možná i ty lodě tam jsou stejný. Rafinerie bude taky tam, jo. Ty vole. No, tam bude všechno, no. To bude hodně vytížený místo, ty jo. Tak dobrý, no. Takže tady je spodek Levskýho.
I think it really provided a unique environment of it's run down, but the people who live there love it and are working their hardest to make it a great place to live.
This is a location that has a lot of nostalgia for you guys, and we don't want this just to be a re-release. We do want you to go, wow.
It's not going to be as complete as Pyro was when it first came out, but it's going to be our first iteration, and you're going to be able to see it grow as we work.
Snad nebude na tom Lesky jenom ten Delamar, ale na tom Nixu jenom Delamar, snad tam budou nějaký planety, ne, ty vole.
Then just building the system while the players watch us build it around them.
Going to add a nice dynamic to stand and be a much more calming, style system than Pyro.
The people that would have played it before are going to love to see this come back.
No to jasný, těšíme se na Lesky, všichni. Zase si uděláme s organizací fotečku, vole, pod sochou, vole. Tam jaký, jak se jmenoval ten kluk. To je no. Díky, chlapci. S tím Nixem tenhle rok jste to jako docela překvapili, ty vole. Co pak přichází?
So we talked about Lesky, we talked about blazing belts, but you probably ask yourself, what's the new gameplay activity we're going to be doing? Let's find out.
Welcome to Nyx is your first experience at a new space station in a new solar system.
It's a mystery to be solved. There's things for the player to explore and look into. There's going to be some twists and turns, of course, some combat, and if you're lucky enough to survive, maybe some good rewards.
This is basically a continuation.
Takže zase nějaký mise nový. Pokračování ASD story. Šílených vědců. A Resident Evil. Silent Hill.
This mission is basically going to be continuing on that trail.
Surveyors learned that illegal tech is being sold in the UAE, and they're hiring Intersect to investigate. Intersect Defense Solutions is the leading military defense contractor in the UAE. So the Navy contracts with them a lot for doing various kind of military operations that they don't want to handle themselves. We didn't want players to be working directly for the Navy. The Navy just doesn't call up random citizens and ask like, hey, if you're free, can you fly a helicopter? I guess as a player, when you can think about like, oh, where am I going to be doing missions that are capital ship battles or large fleet scale stuff or military operations, that's all going to come from intersect defense solutions.
Tady už je nějaká polevná síla.
Is in the NIC system and an old abandoned QB Planet Services logistics station that's come back online.
So they want the players to figure out what's going on.
So when you come out of quantum and you start your approach vector to the objective, you'll be weaving through asteroids.
Takže taky nějaký stanice tam budou, koukám. Samozřejmě. Vypadá trošku jinak než normálně. Hustý.
There's some points of interest that you'll spot as you go through. So the station itself shares design cues from old Pan Am stations found in Pyro. This architectural design found its way into the NIC system as the system was being established. But you'll also see some additional design cues that QB planetary services were adding, so it's a nice transition architectural point. It's fairly skeletal in design. You'll see logistics yards and cargo yards, but also facilities pinned inside the asteroid, creating this network of facilities. You'll notice there's a Polaris near the main hub. It's not a normal Polaris. It's damaged, it's broken, it's not a standard corporate Polaris. So at this point, you should be asking yourself, who does this belong to?
Nějaká limitovaná Polaris tam bude, kterou si budeme moct opravit sami. Asteroid, báze na asteroidech.
So not only is this facility unabandoned, but it's also under attack from a surprising but familiar foe.
Takže tam budou nějaký zajímavý mise. Bojový přímo na stanicích. No samozřejmě Vandul tam čeká, no tak to bude zajímavý. Co je to za loď, kurva? Ty vole, nějaká nová. Obě jsou nějaký nový, ty vole, vandulský lodě. No a tady je klasika. Blade.
So the Vandal are a nomadic, very violent,
stará ship, ale tady to vole, taky vole, Blade vlastně a tam to bylo novýho, ty vole.
They'll be the sizes that you're familiar with. Waves and blades that we all know and hate. And a new craft for the BU, Vandal Stinger.
Vandal Stinger, jo, ty vole, to vypadá dobře. To vypadá hodně dobře.
So at this point you have a choice. You can either bug out, mission over, or join the fight.
Jasně, join the fight, vole, jaký vak, vole, bug out, vole. Takže poprvé v misích budou zahrnutý fight s Vandulama. Výborně. Na to se taky těšíme. Je site vlastně, kosa. To zase, co? Stanici, to je úplně nějaká jiná stanice. Překvapení. No, tohle tam určitě neděláš, vole.
What exactly is going on there, who these new people are. They'll be in unfamiliar armor, they'll be wielding unfamiliar weapons, We want you to get a sense that you are in a new place, in a new territory, fighting a new faction.
So after you survive this initial ambush, you get back in touch with Intersect, and obviously the question is, who are these people? Why are they attacking? Why are the Vandals attacking now?
At this point, there's more going on here than anything. The directive from Intersect is to explore the station and collect as much information as you possibly can.
Along the way, you're going to get to explore some new areas.
It's not just the space station. There's the disabled capital ship. There's asteroid bases nearby with obvious installations there. Other forces that are attacking. There's a debris field.
Explore the locations in any order you want and try to find out who these people are and why the Vandals are after them.
You'll find new clues. You'll find ways to solve the puzzle of what's going on in the space station, and find out what kind of loot they have for you now that you beat them.
And of course, this is a legally open station, so anything you find is yours to keep and sell, maybe even give to Whitwell.
No, to je zase.
This isn't just a one-time event, this is a permanent.
Vypadají uniformy jak týpek z Dead Spaceu, ty.
And repeat this mission and find ways to do it even better, even faster. There'll be a different story, a different flavor, obviously we can't have the same.
Budeme zkoušet nový mise, no. Máme půl hodiny v tom a už to hodně zajímavý. Ten tam byl už taky.
I'm excited to bring cool Vandal ship combat to SC.
Players of the PU will now get to face down these awesome ships.
No ship tam je taky.
Like we already have it in Arena Commander, where you get to fight the Vandal swarm, and being able to do that in the PU is going to be, I think, a heck of a lot of fun.
No, tady máme novou loď. Ty vole, to vypadá dobře. Taková želova, ty vole.
We're also being able to introduce the next starcitizen and introducing the next landscape to tell new stories and add new gameplay piece into the ever-expanding universe. So we'll leave 4.4 there. And if you're at one of the watch parties, please raise a toast to the great work that all the teams have been doing here.
Ke strojům. Tady zvedám pana JD.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Voyager-born, beautiful, scenic RYZEN, where the staff of Cloud Games Manchester is gathered for their very own CitizenCon Direct watch party.
No, no další.
We've gathered today to watch this sneak peek at just a little of what the next year of Star Citizen has in store for everyone. Oh, that was really good, everybody. I'm Jared Huckabee, your host for the best.
No to Jared.
Let me tell you, it's not a joke, it's not a gag. Next week, we're hitting our 90th patch in 10 months, and then in November, we're going to finish out the year strong with the long-awaited arrival of the Nix system. And in case you missed it because you were chatting with friends, it's not the lawless wasteland of Pyro many folks have been speculating, but an independent system with its own set of rules and laws and multiple ways to get there. It's an exciting time for everyone in Cloud & Games because, as the architects of our persistent universe said at the start of the show, the foundational tech...
No museli už nám něco dát, ty vole, novýho, protože ty vole... Rok stability, ty vole, a quality of life, ty vole, se nějak, ty vole, vypařil, ty vole.
So if you want the keen communities of Twitch or the 4K ultra high resolution of YouTube, you have your choice. Second, throughout the broadcast today, we want to see and hear what you have to say along the way. You can tell us on social media by using #CitizenCon. We're especially to see any photos from those watch parties that are happening across the globe. We're going to find some way to bring a few of them into the broadcast later in the program. Third, we've also had a CitizenCon contest going for people to create their very own slice of life in the PU videos. And we played the winning entries during our pre-show countdown. The offerings were super varied. The idea was to work with a team to show the life of a miner or a hauler or a bounty hunter or whatever.
Tak to nám ukazovali jako před v tom odpočítávání, tak to byly vítězové nějaký soutěže ve video klipech.
And to all the winners, I'm sure someone will either be in touch with you about your wolves or they'll just show up on your accounts. I really don't know how that process works. Probably would have been good to find out before the show, huh? You're so afraid. Either way, if you missed the pre-show and are curious if you won, you can check the replay after we're done here today. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I just realized that my bosses, Chris and Sandy, are sitting in a movie theater watch party in Switzerland right now. A completely captive audience. So real behind the scenes here. This is especially torturous for Chris right now because he's super excited about the next segment we've got coming up. Aren't you, Chris?
Co bude další segment, na který je Chris Brz natěšený. No, nejdřív budeme poslouchat Jareda.
Alright, so I've probably pushed my luck enough. Let's get to the next thing. When Nix arrives next month, it'll have Levski, the Glacium belt, and the new Welcome to Nix operation we just discussed. But throughout 2026, we'll also continue to build the Star System out with new features and new technologies that will not only set Nix apart and give it a unique identity from its sibling Star Systems, but continue to set Star Citizen apart from other video games altogether. Now at this point, if you're running one of the watch parties, you're going to want to crank your speakers up for some brand new music from the maestro Pedro himself.
Oh, Pedro, but...
At some of what the next year has to offer for the Nix system.
Nová muzika, nový klip, tak se ukažte.
At Cloud Imperial Games, we believe art inspires the best technology. And through the development of that technology, it pushes us to create even better art. When Genesis comes to the persistent universe starting next year, it will change how you experience every world. And not just in the building of the new planets for the Nix system. We will also go back through Stanton and Pyro and reimagine them through
Jaký Genesis má přijít do hry?
Previously, and more traditionally, we create slices of biomes like deserts or forests. This approach moved us forwards and got us this far, but solving the scale was always tricky. And for Star Citizen, we like to do scale on another level. Issues like seeing tiling from our height maps from high altitude, or the unpredictable blending when two biomes connected, were common. But ultimately, things just never felt right. Our worlds were gorgeous, but to us, they still sometimes felt like interpretations. Now this was a super hard problem, which we needed to solve at the scale the Star System requires. We challenged ourselves to emulate nature in the most
To něco důležitýho spáchali, ty vole.
but to our level of detail.
Co pak to máme? Další planeta? Mraky vypadají líbově. Tak je to Genesis. Planeta Genesis. Ty vole. Planetech.
So when you see a forest or a meadow, it's no longer because an artist painstakingly crafted it there. It's now because it simply wants to be there. It fits inside our rules.
Inteligentní příroda.
Genesis also ties into our other gameplay systems. Our new planets are built from the information we create for our different datasets, like height maps, humidity, temperature, soil type, soil amounts, geology erosion data, to name but a few. This means you can now tell where to find valuable minerals as the geology looks like it would be suitable for it. Where scree piles exist below sheer cliff faces, and where rocks are broken off over time due to erosion. Of course, these still give us the ability to direct the look and feel we want.
Nová zeleň.
Attention to detail from the tallest mountain to the smallest flower is still
Bažina.
DNA.
Jo, dobrá buš. Genesis bude v Nixu. S tím novým biomem. Cože Genesis je tool?
This is a major part of what exploration is for us. We want that feeling of finding a corner of the universe that you'll fall in love with, and where you want to settle down, build your home.
Dobrá džungle, vypadá moc pěkně. Tak Genesis je nástroj na tady to budování těch planet, to přejmenovali planetech vole 5 na Genesis, zajímavý.
Thanks, Ian. So, in case it's not very clear, Genesis is our name for a group of technologies that are improving our ability to...
Takže správně to říkám. Genesis je nástroj na tvoření biomu a povrchu planet. Zajímavý.
Instead of just highlighting some really cool biomes that we can create, let's go ahead and show how all this work applies to the upcoming planets of Nix.
Takže nový planet Nixu.
Nix 3 is a gas giant and I think it's blue. It's not going to surface, I don't really know. Nix 2 is a yellow, toxic,
Takže plynový obr, další je nějaká žlutá planeta. Hrdinská planeta. Jo, heroplanet, jo. Nix 1. Takže pár planet tam bude, některý pěkně zelení, ty vole, to je. Bažiny. To bude zajímavý. Vypadá dobře. Na to se těším. Polaris vstupuje do atmosféry.
Previously, we had different data that drove the orbital and ground coloring. That's because the orbit was designed to look like vegetation based on the surface. The ground coloring was trying to be a mix of soil, rock, and the organic compound coloring that forms the kind of colors there.
Skoro zelená planeta.
In a unified way. When you look at Earth, you see blues and greens for the ocean and vegetation, and browns, yellowy tones of sand and soil. We wanted to keep it as simple as that. The same set of textures and data that define the colour of the soil, sand, rock, and the ground are used to create the orbital look. We then assess the presence of vegetation and competition between different species on each part of the planet and use that to blend in tones of green, including variations due to species health and the current season. This creates a far more complete image and allows you to identify features, geologies, and potential points of interest all the way from space. Let's go down to the surface and start with something closer to what you're used to, in a whole new light. When we approached the surface of the planet, we wanted to start by focusing on just soil and rock. One of the things that
skoro vypadá korýl tady, to když bych to viděl před 10 lety, jako si to je skutečný snímek. Skutečný. Zajímavé vyhlazení.
just create height changes, they also bring in local erosion data, both soil and bedrock size values. And this gives us a whole new level of terrain detail, of scale, and allows us to create far more unique locations across the planet. So now that we've nailed the surface, let's have a look at adding some rocks. We've now got two major contributors to the rock content of our planets. Firstly, long desired feature, cliffs. We are adding large scale, varied detail to all our cliff spaces to a given location. This adds an exciting new dimension to steep slopes that we simply couldn't get before. The second is a big one for you ground vehicle enthusiasts. Rocks are now found not scattered everywhere, like spilled popcorn on the center.
Aha, nebudou šutráky rozesetý všude, bude se moct jezdit s autíčkama.
Using physical data generated for each large and medium tile, now rock distribution makes sense and has a physical basis. So if you're still crashing into them after this comes out, that's on you. The rock assets themselves have had a glow up too. We now create rock sets related to a particular geology that look like they originated from
Šutráky budou, natěžení budou vidět na dálku. To je budulíčko, ty vole.
Let's add some vegetation and explore some additional biomes.
Taky ta variace stromů, ty vole, je jako docela hodně přehnaná, ty vole.
When we start to add a bit of fresh water, they begin transitioning into more wetland type.
Tady si někde udělám základnu v bažině, ty vole. Budu jožit z bážin. No to se těším.
So, how are we making these look so great? Obviously, we've had grass before, but never meadows of it.
To vypadá jako louka, no. Opravdu. Ty vole.
With Genesis, we now leverage GPU spawning to create vast quantities of assets across all biomes, whether it be dense meadows or more complex collections.
GPU bude hořet, prej. Kromě toho procesoru, na který hoří už teď. Travní porost bude sebe zapadat.
Next, let's take a look at how we light our grass. Now, as in real life, the shading of a grass blade, or indeed a whole field of grass, is lit very differently to like a flat surface. We now use a solution that shades meadows of grass far more like fur or hair. And this, if you think about it, makes sense. At a distance, a field of grass is far more like a carpet or cloth than a flat surface. This improves
no jo, to tráva vypadá hodně přírodně.
as well as bringing us nicely to how we're solving the distant representation grass. So, let's talk about the distance problem.
Taky pěkný skály, ty vole. Uvidíme, jestli tam bude dál takhle chodit. Zlehka.
But in the past, this broke down very quickly when objects simply disappeared when viewing the same biome from 10, 20, 100 kilometers away. Because we don't hide planetary transitions and allow to view complex regions from very large distances, there are almost infinite perspectives from which you can see a location starcitizen. So, how can we afford to evaluate complex spawning logic at runtime that the entire swathes of the planet?
Popování objektů, vole, na dálku. Ty vole.
Virtual terrain, or VT for short, is how we now cache and represent our terrain at varying scales. This has been the enabler of all of the lovely advances in terrain complexity and asset spawning we've shown so far. And it's also how we now evaluate and represent vegetation from a distance. When creating the VT for each part of the terrain, we assess if vegetation has covered the ground, and if so, what shading should be applied. For all of our diamonds, we're now able to use the same shading model for the distant representation as the close-up asset, whether that's our lovely rolling hills, some more dramatic rockscapes, those muggy wetlands,
jo, tam budu mít základnu.
our festering swamps.
No, tady, v bažině.
So, yeah, we didn't forget about the swamps, and they're coming to the next one as well. Built using the lessons learned and all the technologies we've developed, these swamps now spring into existence from the planetary data.
Takže s Nixem přicházejí bažiny, výborně. Nový zobrazování trávy a zeleně a všeho. To je zajímavý. To je na zakladce vzadu.
Anyway, that's our update on the Planetech portion of Genesis and how we're using it right now to sculpt the identity of Next One. And I hope you're as excited as we are to explore this.
Takže nový nástroj, není to vole Planetech, ale je to Genesis, jo?
Genesis is now inspiring everyone here to create planets of the quality and believability we've always strived for. A meeting of technology and art that I truly believe will set our worlds apart from anything we've done before. And with that said, let's move on to a little travel between systems, literally.
Tak jdeme se prolítnout mezi systémama. Před jump point.
Has been specific to the star system you're in, meaning a Stanton mission has to take place in the Stanton system, and a Pyro mission has to take place there. We've never been able to link these together, but with the introduction of our own star system, it's time for this to change. And that begins with the introduction of interstellar cargo.
What are you talking about today?
System-to-system hauling missions. Hauling is back.
No. No konečně, ty vole, nějaký prachy na vydělávání. Pořádný, vole.
Various volumes of cargo between the stations. So there'll be high volumes of cargo that kind of fulfill the purpose for Hull C and the other series of blue ships. And there'll be a few sort of more direct routes.
So you might pick up some cargo from Ruin Station in Pyro and go through the jump point to Stanton and drop it off there at one of the LAs.
If you've never sort of experienced a jump point or going through it, these missions will require you to. They're in no way limited. You can do them in any sort of ship you want, any size of ship. I'll be doing them in my Drake cutter myself, between Stanton and Nix.
To víš, že jo, vole, s tímhle malým sráčem.
I've got a few ships, but the Drake cutter is really cute, so.
Kecáš, Eliote.
Scripted combat encounters where you can be attacked by NPC ships. Maybe the mission giver has tipped off some pirates who are looking to get a hold of that cargo, as well as express missions, which means the deadline timers that you're used to in the regular hauling missions might get really tight and you've got to learn to be very fast.
Tak budu myslet na čas, výborně. S tím nemám žádný problém. Když teď traktorovým konečně funguje, jak mám fungovat.
At the start of the show, we said we was going to build out the Nix system right in front of you after 4.4 launches next month. And while we want to keep as much of what we're doing behind closed doors, so you can discover it yourself, in-game and on your own, we still are excited to share with you a brief look at one of our up-and-coming locations we're calling Rock.
Tak tady to je vidět, že to je ještě nakreslení.
Rock cracker is where you have to crack a rock. It's a big rock. You want more?
So way out into the Keeper belt to find all.
Aha, takže to bude nová loď. To je mol. To je celkem velká loď. Nenová. Aha.
Since they've been mothballed and been left abandoned. So you're going to have to find a way inside, thinking about how do we bring this facility.
Takže nějaký rozbíječ opravdu velkých kamenů, jo, to má být, jo. Přímo nějaká stanice, která rozbíjí kameny. Zajímavý.
One of the main features is the laser head, which will require certain things to get working. It's up to you and your friends to...
Takže laserovou hlavu bude muset někdo vždycky někdo opravit. Přidat tam nějaký komponenty asi. To bude zase na rok.
Now, if you're traversing through the facility, you'll find the old engine room. Now, there may be ways to bring the facility back to life, kickstart the engines, and bring power to different parts of the facility. Maybe eventually bringing the laser back online and cracking some rocks.
The secondary gameplay loop is FPS combat. You're not there by yourself.
Takže kdyby krakování šutru budeš mezi krakování nějaký gangy, aby se tam dostal. Taky dobrý. Co to bylo za boukačku, kurva?
So you found these old facilities, you've brought them back to life. You've systematically brought power to various functions of the facility.
Kurmali laser opravdu.
You fired the laser. You've broken apart the rock. Then you'll be able to fly your ship inside and see what's there.
Oh!
So you fly a ship into an asteroid.
Yeah. You just get into your ship and fly in and start searching around, trying to find the pieces that you want to mine.
Aha. Takže ve mně budou nějaký překvapení. To vypadá vtipně, ty vole.
This content is for players who enjoy mining, who enjoy exploration, investigation.
To teď Salt Mike asi skáče radostí. No, je to nový HKčko. Byla to nová bouchačka. Jo, teď jsem dobře viděl.
Asteroid that's big enough you fly your spaceship.
It wouldn't be worth doing if you couldn't make a good amount of coin.
Yeah. Making promises for the econ team.
Yeah. They've got to balance it.
Šutrák tam bude asi už připravený. Si to můžeme přitáhnout svůj. Tam bude asi už připravený. Zapomenutý. Aha. Takže bude tam obrovský množství minerálů. Během 12 měsíců. OK.
When we begin populating these with new planets, there'll be a whole host of ground-based HyperX settlements and structures inhabited by those trying to make their way in the verse. And all of this in service of building star systems that complement the massive corporate Java standard, the lawless ganking of Pyro, and now the new frontier of discovery for the Nix system. Shall I say ganking?
Already did.
Good job, everyone. So yeah, a whole lot to take in there. Interstellar hauling is the beginning of a massive expansion to the mission system that'll let us connect these 3-star systems like never before. What else we got? Rockcracker is just one of the next operations that'll be coming to the Nix system in the first half of next year, where we're going to fly into an asteroid and do that thing that miners love more than anything else. Complain about PvP is getting in their way. No, I'm being told it's mining. It's mining. And of course, one of the most anticipated features coming to Star Citizen, Genesis, and what that means for the planets of Star Citizen. So let's talk to Will Hain and find out more. And I'm just remembering that Will Hain is in France at the watch party. Okay, France. Ask Slarty Bartfast over there how they're going to use Genesis to update the planets and moons of standard and get back to me, all right? See if we need some keywords. What else we got? The Citizen Digital Goodies Pack. It's a hard thing to say. That went up for sale a couple weeks ago, and there's a whole bunch of mysterious items.
Ty to na hře vychystaný, ty vole, ty jste kouřili, ty vole, tam matroš, ty vole.
Let's find out what's actually in there. There's a gunship flight suit, helmet, 2 armor sets, and that mysterious...
Oho, to jsou ty nový, jo, to vypadá jak Dead Space, vole.
A couple of crazy weapons that I'm certain we're going to learn about in just a few minutes. Some slick Levski swag, and finally, to celebrate the long-awaited edition of the Vandal of Star Citizen, a cool Vandal line with adorable plushie.
No, to si můžete koupit za $42. Nějaký necelý litr to stojí asi, že jo.
So now, let's go ahead and transition into our next step. Much of what you see in the show today has been the culmination of a lot of people's work in I had a dream about like this once. Yeah? Okay, so against everyone's better judgment, the thing is finally happening.
Oh yeah. Goodie bag.
How do you think the show's going? Good. We're getting the next star system and the Vandal come. Kind of been a lot of minutes, right? Well, yeah, but it's a major milestone and deserves a major showcase. Yeah, it's hard work.
Už to je ta fotka.
Yeah, there's spaceships. Cool. Wow, it's like they only scanned the original community portion of me. Pictures of your soul. Imagine what base scanning and PCAP does. Well, this has been super cringe. So I'm head out. Bye.
Červeč, to je armoru.
Regular citizen is still better. You should have done that. Of course. Thank you. Part of me that isn't a soulless marketing puppet. All right.
Ludka.
Just go to the spaceship, shall we?
Hi, my name is John Crew. I'm the vehicle director here at CIG.
Nové lodě.
Where we're going to talk about 3 new ships coming to the system.
3 nové lodě. Jednu jsme viděli, to byl ten Mandul. Nějaký další 2. Má to být RSI, dolovací loď.
The last year has been pretty hectic in terms of vehicle deliveries. I think we've delivered the most we've ever done in a 12-month period, and we've covered all the way from tiny little snubs all the way up to capital ships. We've kind of filled out a few little gaps. We've introduced new ships by some old manufacturers.
Polaris, no, vytáhli, no. Idris, ale vlastně taky finálně hotová.
It's nice to start revisiting some of the older catalog and some of the bigger ships again. I think my favourite ship from the last year is a tie between the Wolf and the Golem. Favourite ship from last year? Probably the Wolf. I feel like it's the obvious one. I'm trying to think of something else, but I really like the Wolf.
Všichni milují Wolfa. No jo.
Obviously, a return of Kruger, a completely new aesthetic to the game. The Wolf was, it was kind of like we say out to be, and it was like
To jsem ještě nezkoušel, protože to jsem nekoupil, počkám, až to bude ve hře a koupím to ve hře. Tady to je taky nový vlastně od dolovací loď od Drakeu. Zeus taky, jo. Ten je dobrý, no. Ten jsem dělal, sestřelil pár lidí, ty vole, tak to lítá dobře, no. To není žádný Bčko.
Again, maybe some ships from some manufacturers that don't have that many in their lineup. There's a few big challenging ones starting, so they're good. A breadth of ships, should we say?
The three new ships we're going to introduce today all tie in some way into the primary factions fighting over the Nix system.
No.
We'll start with the People's Alliance and Andal Aerospace.
Cože to je?
Andal is a very military-based brand. It's been a brand that's in Star Citizen for a long time, fighting for lots of military contracts and law, often up against Aegis, and to the point of actually beat Aegis in the past. You will be familiar with a lot of their ships, the designs such as the Hornet and Lightning. Earlier this year we introduced the Andal Asgard, based on the Valkyrie chassis, which is an extremely popular offering. And this year we're bringing the concept ship we introduced last year.
Tak jak to bude? Aha, Paladin, aha. Gunship, už tam letěla před asi 20 minutama. Ježišmarja, tady ty vole, kolik bůh těch zase. No, to bude mazec, ty vole, to je vole, jak Skorpion v podstatě. Má to vole brnění. Mhm. Dobře. No vypadá jak Valkyra, ale má trošku jiný zadek, kam obrovský turret na vrchu. No, ten otevřený zadek takovýhle. Kolik bude? 300, vole? 200 pade? Ty vole, ne, ve hře si to koupím. Možná. Jo, tohle ty vole. Tu nějaký rakety pěkný tam byly taky. Jo, zase tady takhle otáčí, stejně jako ten Scorpius, jo. Hmm. Všechno pokrytí vlastně turretama. Hodně zajímavý. Pilot bude s čím místně střílet? Aha, takže pilot budeme pilotovat. Všechno ostatní turrety budou musíš mít krev na to, lidi. No, pilot nahoře. Kulomečník dole. Průhledná podlaha, OK.
That said, if you don't have the ability to fully crew a Paladin, you can still fly it and engage in combat solo.
Takže pilot samotný bude mít vládu na nějakýma zbraněma. Vypadá to, že jenom na těma bočníma.
Coming aboard Paladin, you enter into this sort of armory, ready room area, you have a variety of suit lockers and weapon racks.
Takže se tam chodí přes zbrojníci. Docela dobrý.
One of the improvements from the original concept is we've added a small dedicated cargo bay area for actual SUV crates.
Cargo bay, který tam bude stávat tím nejmenším chodem přes dvoje dveře, ne? Ty vole zase. Jako s Fénixem, vole. No, ta... Medivakem, vole, jak se to jmenuje, kurva.
also within the upper traversal area, you also have a little breakout area with seating, food machine, toilets, etc.
I think it's a very cool looking ship. I think we did a really nice job of taking what was there in concept and adding an extra level of detail and trying to kind of push things forward.
I think it hits the nail in terms of a really solid military ship. It's really complementary to some of the other ships in the annual lineup, so something like the Valkyrie, where you've got this big drop ship, you know, the...
No, je to hodně podobný velký křej.
Make sure it's safe, make sure no one messes with you.
Vulkánu.
Jak
se jmenuje ten druhý.
The thing I like most, I think, about Paladin is that it's very clearly got a crew of 4, and they all kind of work and operate under the same conditions. You know, the pilot, co-pilot, and the 2 gunners, they're basically all equal on the ship. There's one toilet, everyone's got the same style of bunk.
It's really hard that you call it, you like that there's one toilet.
Co už to mají na webu? Paladina?
Well, you know, it's just you all work together, you're all equal at work,
No je, jasně. Takže kolik, vole, 200 pade? Wow. 393? Si děláte prdel? Ty vole, 400 dolarů, ty vole, jo. Oh boy. No, tady to je pěkný, ty vole, no. Dá hodně, ty vole, hustě, no.
Relatively nasty aliens that you sometimes hear about and haven't seen much of yet. They also make really cool spaceships.
Vypadá dobře, tady to vypadá jako hodně dobře. OK, dobrý display. Stinger, jo, nebo jak to říkal. Drtí lidímr, jo. Ty vole, dobře. Balistika nějaká, jo. No jasně, jo. Se jim hodně rychle, ty vole.
They heard everyone's complaints about the glaive and blade and have stripped off the original Vandal weapons to allow customization for standard human weapons.
With the exception of the single-size 5-gun,
which was too well integrated into the whole, even for Superior to remove.
All the additional weapons are generic mounts, so they can be swapped with any of the existing lines.
Takže se vyměnit. Bouchačky tady, to bych je takhle 6, jo. Ty vole.
For that one bespoke weapon, the size 5 plasma cannon, functionally it is the same as the existing size 5 plasma cannons on the side and blade, but it is a sort of Gen 2 model and wraps it in a different aesthetic compared to those ones you'll see. They're very much older Vandal style. This is much newer Vandal style.
Tam ještě další dá nějaký plasma kanon, jo. Takže bylo 7 bouchaček, ty vole. Na jedný lodi to už je docela dost. Ukažte, jak to vypadá zevnitř, vole. To bude asi single seater, ale možná to bude mít nějaký cockpit, vole. A bombově, ty vole. Ty jo.
Vandal ships that are currently in EU. If you take, for example, the way the cockpits are constructed.
Up at the front, you've got this big kind of bubble dome that gives the cockpit quite a unique shape compared to some of our other ships, and also gives the pilot a unique position within the ship and kind of gives great visibility out the front.
Tam bylo ještě taky leží asi. Nástup jako 400. ten nebude mít žádný kokpit, vole, žádný prostor vnitřní, ale prostě jenom nastoupíš, vole, zvedeš se. A jedeš. Tak to je ostrý. No to jak je to velký, ty, jak jsem si myslel, že tam bude nějaký vnitřek. Nějaká postel. Ale vypadá to jako nějak, je to prostě jenom single seater.
So we have Helm for People's Alliance, we have the Stinger for people that really like Van Duel and want to try and pretend to be them. But what about the other mysterious faction we have running around?
So Gray Chowdhury got to start as he was working at a cargo center out in Odin. He started being able to get his hands on some stuff that other people couldn't, items.
To bylo jako boje tam, ty vole, kouřícího, ty vole. Nějaký machine gear novej? Asi jo, machine gear. Nějaká další loď, what is it? To je nějaký Drake, vole, ne? Zbastlili kutlase, vole, z něco ledního.
At first glance at the exterior of the ship, I think most people will probably recognize there is more than a fair proportion of the colours.
No to je kutlas, vole.
Had quite a few changes to it.
A nějaký vytuněnej kutlas, ty vole. Hodně vytuněnej. Ty vole. No to je Valkyrie, no.
The top turret, which is now removed, is just this hodgepodge amalgamation of multiple other ships' turrets. And then the changes continue onto the inside, where again, it sort of feels Cutlass-like, but then you'll find there's bits of Crusader ships just integrated into the wall instead of what was there originally.
Bastlili několik lodí dohromady, už nevěděli co, jo. To si děláte srandu, ty vole. Ne? Vedle?
As ever with the refined work from Grace Market, you can see
No, tady je
the health and safety.
takový Voxinger.
There's like loose cables, panels are exposed. If you look carefully, you'll notice there are like tools laying around.
To kolik? 250, 300? Oh, 350 dolarů, ty vole. Je to Vesperia, jo. Holy moly, ty vole. Se na to podíváme potom na to, když se to končí. Neptejte se na to. Došli nám nápad, jak jsme zbastlili něco, co funguje. To není pravda.
Are they legitimate, manufacturers? No. Are they operating on the right side of the law? Maybe not, but...
Kolik to bude? Jaký 300, ty vole? Jste zbláznili?
It probably comes down to, don't ask where I got it, but ask how I got it. Don't worry about it, just ask if you want it. I think the shit is for someone that is looking for something a bit different, a bit away from the norm. They just want something that's unique.
It's definitely for people who like a rustic aesthetic.
It's a fun ship, but it's also really strong, to be honest, and it's absolutely a statement.
Steampunk, vole, největší. Paladin 393 dolarů, ty vole. Stinger a bandůvský Xperia je $350, ty vole, a tady to bude taky nějakých, ty vole, minimálně, ty vole, 300, ty vole, ne. To budou lidi prskat, ty vole, za posledního kutlase, ty vole, takovou ránu. No.
So I've just been informed that we have to do a bit of a timeshare agreement this year, so we have to throw it over to Alexei for Talking Weapons, which is an extremely original name.
Takže vole, jsme tam, tak, už tam objevili ten... Ne.
I'm talking about the new edition that came out in October. The non-weapons are essentially the weapons that does not...
Nový bouchačky. No to je to AKčko, to tam bylo vidět, vole, v tom.
That were made by space pirates.
Gray sells whatever he can sell.
Sometimes he gets his hands on some weapons that come from unknown origins.
He will sell things that no company in their right mind would ever make.
These are the most kind of like scrappy and take together, the most kind of like pyro-ish weapons that you can think of.
Right now we're releasing 3 new weapons.
Takže kolik je ten?
Launcher.
To je na $163, no ty vole.
Space AK.
I think this is the one that
Takže spastlený kutlas je ta 163 doláčů. No ještě je to nic, ty vole, by to měli více jak 200 to lidi řvali, ty vole. Tutově. A ty víme. Space AK, jo. Žádný měření? Jo, je tam nějaký. Další něco novýho.
It will bring the 50 cal, and the only other weapons that have this right now in the verse are the bearing sniper rifle and the Koga.
50, jo. 50 kalibr.
You know what? Maybe these really complicated, fancy guns, and some people just want, I want a slow firing rifle. Give me a scrap together box that fires the biggest thing you can possibly find.
Jo.
We don't have a rocket launcher of this caliber. It will be 3 grenades straight together that you pull into the tube and fire towards
Další to je nějaký raketomet, nebo co to je?
It will have an arming distance, so we will not be able to just point it towards an enemy.
It's also going to have a lot of spread. So essentially, you're going to have to get very close with your launcher to blow ships with a single...
RPGčko, je to jasný? To je prostě RPGčko. Zdar.
You try aim it, you have to physically put the tube in your head. So we were like, oh, we can't have an aim apparatus for this. And then we realized like, it's in the spirit of being a tube that you can't use the aiming apparatus, and you just kind of like, all right, I think that's the middle of the screen, I'm going to hit it.
It's in the spirit of being a tube.
Jo. Dalekohled, jo.
Talk about binoculars. Binoculars are really cool. We don't have anything like this in the verse, and I think it will be really convenient to use something that's dedicated to look for the things, especially far away, instead of using your sniper scope, for example.
Will the binoculars have glint?
Jo, budou mít odraz.
Not aware of this one. Probably not, because binoculars are not something that you need to be aware of.
It's really funny because obviously, due to glint gate, as I beautifully internally call it, basically there was a lot of community feedback basically saying like, oh, I really like spotting people, I really like playing a spotter. And essentially I was like, oh, this community wants to be able to spot people from distances, and what can we make gadget-wise that doesn't require new features? And it was like, binoculars. And I prototyped a thing which essentially was just a scope in a hand, and it worked. So we've got some really cool binoculars coming that allow you to spot people from distances.
Dobře, budeme si možný přece označit terče. Uvidíme.
Thanks, Alexei and Zach. That's the end of this segment for this year. So that's talking ship and weapons, unless anyone else is going to come and tell me something else. It's been an exciting year, and I think the next year of ships is going to be even more exciting and expansive than this year.
No, těšíme se na další rok, no. 3 lodě, 3 nový bouchačky. Výborně.
Well. That is an eclectic bunch of combat ships for the verse, and they're all available right now up on the robertsspaceindustries.com store. Also, any minute now, there's going to be a PTU drop that includes all 3, so you can fly them now ahead of release next week.
Takže za chvíli budou v PTU.
3 goes live. 3 combat ships. I wonder if they'll have any additional uses coming up later in the show.
Možná se nepodíváme.
What else can I shill? Oh, there's merch. We've got these cool new Levski desk mat things. These are always popular.
No, nějaký prodeje.
Levski metal posters on the store, and of course, love them or hate them, but you can't avoid them. There's this cool new Wickelos Emporium t-shirt. Yeah. There's also a page published earlier today with a bunch of links to offerings from our third-party partners, from eye trackers to gaming chairs to voice packs to spaceship models from new partners like Planet Ring and Pigeon Spaceport and more. You can find all of that on the RSI website as well. And what else can I show? Oh, for those of you who are at watch parties, where is it? Challenge coins. Who doesn't love challenge coins? There's these lovely Levski themed challenge coins if you're attending one of the 9 official watch parties around the world. There's also a digital one of the goodies pack. Leave today without getting your Levski challenge coin. All right, what else can I show? I'm kind of tired of shilling. All right, let's find out some more about where we are. Simon, can we move? Can we do? Oh, yeah. Look at that. Okay, here we go. Pardon me. Here we go. Excuse me. Hi. How you doing? That was my best angle. I gotta be careful. Last year I took 3 steps and tore a muscle. All right, so this is the 9th floor of CIG.
Takže zatím se tam objevily 3 nový lodě. Na webu. My se podíváme po skončení show, což je za necelou půl hodinu, za nějakých 3-4 minut.
Over here, we got some cool mannequins representing different aspects of the game. You got the ever-present, Hurston security armor over here. You got your Duster's armor right here. You got this guy from a game that we're not talking about today.
To je Squadron 42, o ní se dneska nemluví. Aha, OK.
Got a nice little recreation area. There's some sim pits over there for people who need to test that kind of stuff. We got this cool Krigeri
Bengal.
carrier. Come over here, shoot it. Go down the nose here. Watch this. It's pretty cool. I'm gonna go over here.
Plný hangár, ty vole. Ty vole.
Hi, Mom. So yeah, and what are you doing, Richard Tyler?
Dělá, to je prdel, vole.
Let's see, what else we got? We got a cool Voyager bar here. This is where we get all kinds of breakfast goodies, coffee, stuff like that. Hey, who remembers the big coffee controversy of 2016, where everybody took to Reddit and pondered the question, do devs deserve coffee? I do. You want to see what next year's big controversy is? Check this out. Come over here. Do devs deserve coffee? Welcome to the starter Rita machine. Yeah. Do devs deserve frozen deliciousness? I don't know. Go to Reddit and let us know. All right, let's see. Let's go over here. Competition. Oh, competition winners. We have the list of competition winners. Can we put that on the screen? Yeah, come on. Sorry, competition winners. Remember the competition for the CitizenCon winners? The people made the videos, and we gave them a Kruger L21 Wolf. We actually have the names. They're behind me. Look. All right, that's cool. Also, everybody's got food. Do I have food here? Oh, somebody was supposed to save me pizza. All right, so we got. Oh, you guys saved me a lot of pizza. Let's see. There's like 3 different kinds of pizza here. What if we just combine them into like a challenger situation here?
Nejlepší, vole. Jo.
That's a CitizenCon throwback if you're not familiar with. So, I have now crafted my own pizza experience. And that is a terrible segue into our next segment. Gemma, Gemma, are you there?
Tak co dalšího?
Can we fire up the FPS crafting segment while I try to chew this off camera?
FPS. Takže co máme dál? Crafted experience, oh.
Star Citizen, at its heart, will always be an enormous sandbox experience, where you can set out to tackle the universe in whatever ways you want. But that doesn't mean we can't shape parts of the universe here and there to better suit our needs. That goes for both you and us. Let's start this part of the show with a look at how crafting is going to change everything from resource gathering, refining, and even combat when it comes online.
Crafting.
First version of crafting is going to be quite small in scale. We're going to use it as a concentrated effort to allow the players to experience the initial UI, the flow of gathering materials of different quality, and using those to craft items which are better than what they have currently in the game.
The first version is going to be primarily FPS items that you can craft, weapons and armor. For Star Citizen, crafting is our primary progression mechanic. Star Citizen isn't your standard MMO. We don't have levels.
Jsem to vyškrtal všechno pěkně.
We have gear. We
Je
have
to tam dost už.
Create in the world.
Crafting, Junkru, goodies pak, máte Stinger.
That's how we progress in Star Citizen. Crafting isn't just a progression mechanic for creating new items. It's also a fundamental change to how we handle resources in the game. The materials that you collect, how you refine them, quality matters.
Crafting the weapons have some quality materials to influence the item stats on those weapons.
It'll be somewhat random, potentially weighted on the location of the material. Some will have a higher chance of higher quality. And once you take those materials to your crafting bench, the fabricator, you can use them to craft, and the different attributes will be increased based on the materials you use. It's not just iron ore anymore, it's iron ore of the quality that you know will get you the stats for the item that you desire.
Takže si budeme moci robit lepší zbraně, podle toho, co říkají. Tím, že tam dáme kus sklu. Z červa. A nový interface nového inventáře. No, ty vole. Vypadá zajímavě.
We'll be using the existing ones. Those will pass the quality through into the refined materials, which you can then take to your crafting machine and start making your personal items. Once you have your blueprints and your quality materials that you've refined, then you can put them together on the item fabricator. This will be pretty much what we showed in last year's CitizenCon, with the UI letting you assign your quality resources to different aspects of the item. Once you're happy with what you see on the preview, you'll be able to click to craft, and it'll get queued up.
Takže naspiš tam kontejnery a vleze ti úchočkám. Zajímavý.
You'll be able to get the new crafting machine from shops in most landing zones. You'll be able to bring it up on your freight elevator and use it in your personal hangar, or tractor beam it around and stick it on a ship if you want to use it from there.
Zajímavý.
Small amount of blueprints you get credited to your account just to test and mess around, but the vast majority of them will be earned through missions, and then you can use that blueprint to craft the item that it is that you've got the blueprint for. So it should be a good reason to go and test all the different various missions in the game.
The advantage of crafting your own items is that they'll be better than anything that you could buy from shops. you'll be able to increase and improve item stats that are relevant to your gameplay. Maybe your gun will shoot faster, maybe it'll do some more damage, or your armor will have greater resistances against environmental effects or incoming fire. You might be wondering, what about the upgrade and research? That will be coming in a subsequent release. We're happy with this initial scope for crafting.
It's going to be so valuable for us as devs to kind of
Takže crafting, ty vole,
get the feedback in
bude hodně zajímavý, no.
Changes that, you know, they only become
Lepší armor, lepší zbraně, rychlejší střílení.
Mass amounts of data and mass amounts of users using it. So I'm very excited to get it out in the wild.
To budou servery hořet, ty vole. Amazonu.
So that's one way you'll be crafting your own experiences in the Star Citizen universe. But what about us? Where do we get to hone in and craft a bespoke experience here and there, specifically tailored to individual or small group play? Well, that's where instancing comes in. And I'm going to let Benji tell you a little bit more.
We're bringing instancing to Star Citizen in 2026. Why are we doing it? So if you've played any content in 2025 in Star Citizen, you know that most of these areas were in actual PvP zones where other players could interfere. Instancing is a means to create an environment where designers can create tailored content that's specific group size, but it is also protected from outside interference. It's not to say that we don't love PvP. I'm a PvP. PvP me, bro. But like most MMOs, a good balance between a dangerous overworld and a protected instances is needed. Right now, we don't have this ability. This is something we really need in order to give you a sense of progression that is tailored and balanced to a tunable amount of groups. The difficulty matches the group size. There's a beginning and an end. It doesn't mean that that doesn't fit in our overworld strategy, meaning getting to the instance is dangerous, exiting the instance is dangerous, or can be interfered with others. But at least when you're playing the content, we can actually make something that's curated for one experience. So before anybody says this is only a PvE thing, this technology can also be applied to unlock curated PvP experiences that are as seamless as the PvE ones. So it's not about one thing or the other, it's really about unlocking developers' ability to create curated content. So that said, how will it work? Instancing is really an evolution over static to dynamic meshing. We want your instances to be as seamless as your instance hangers, meaning that when you take an elevator, you exit the elevator, you're inside the instance. A gateway opens, you cross that gateway, you're now into your instances. Could be also a quantum jump into an instance that you don't even see. The transition is just like a dynamic mesh transition. And so throughout the universe, we will be able to add these areas that are open or closed instances that allow you to join in either with a party and have a reserved instance for your party, or join in open instances that has a number of slots. And so some of those areas will be completely instanced on different servers. This allows us to leverage the
takže něco bude mít pro sebe, něco bude mít volný, že tam můžou mít přístupy ostatní lidi.
and exit seamlessly, just like we do with your instance hangers currently. Let's go and find out what one of our first instances will be.
Awesome.
Siege of Arisen was an event we did previously, which created a gameplay scenario where the player had to go through contested islands of Arisen. This is a high-paced, high-intensity event, but it struggled a little bit from its technical execution. But now with the introduction of instancing, it gives us an opportunity to evolve it and modify it and make it better for you and a small group to work through that activity.
It is an event that I had the honour of pretty much solely designing and building all of the logic and having the stress of trying to get it working.
Agent Dooley from the CDF puts the call out for volunteers because basically the Ninetales have taken over sort of a cluster of floating platforms in Orson.
And you are there to kill these sort of lieutenants of this terrorist organisation and take back control. So in our current thinking, Siege of Arisen is designed for about a 15 to 20 people fire team. So you, your friends, or your org,
sort of dedicated
role
15-20 lidí, ty vole. No, bylo to masakr, ale šlo to taky.
Some of you will be the medic whose sole job is going to be revive and look after the rest of your team and the health of them. And some of you will be the people who push for the objectives to try and get sort of most of the mission done. The event was designed for about 15 to 30 people, but when we released it, we fixed the problem with 2 DGSs on one server that was fighting for resources. And with that, we also upped the player count to 100, so when it first debuted, it was already too full for what it was designed for.
It was a massive operation at the time. I think that bringing it back and giving it a refresher will be a fantastic addition back into the PU.
So imagine if Siege was a instance that you could go in and play solo, or if it was a public event that you could go with your friends, or you could join up with random players on a server. There's lots of ways that we want to take a look at Siege, how we can make it a more approachable piece of content.
I'm excited to say the least to bring back Siege Boris and the 2-star citizen and to sort of have it be one of the first tests that we have for instancing and really get it back to sort of a core experience point where it should be. So while the next season is quite heavily focused on Nyx, I'm also very happy that we're not really ignoring our other 2 systems of Standard and Pyro, and we're going back there and we're sort of improving and expanding on the player's life in those 2 systems as well.
Yes, and while things like Genesis, intercell hauling, crafting, Siege Horizon, and more will reveal next year, will continue to bring life into the existing universe outside of Nyx. There's still one more exciting use for instancing we're building right now. It's an early look than normal, and some of it is still in white box, but we're excited to share the first look at a major content release of 2026, and what it means for progression-based gameplay. As an evolution of our Building Interior initiative, you won't discover it by accident, because when it's complete, it will be found deep within the heart of Levski itself. This is the Municipal Works. So inside the facility, you'll find huge vaporization chambers, old processing plants, industrial tunnels, and eventually into the old turbines which are still pumping heat into the old rock.
So this is the true history of Levski. This is a place where you won't see Norville, you won't see 918 or the other landing zone. It's the pure basis of Levski. You will have, of course, metal and tunnels and more structural place, but you will also see a lot of rock and cave. So it's not a place you go to take vacation, it's really a place you go to fix stuff.
Not everybody has what it takes to come down there and do the job that needs to be done.
All of your sewage systems have stopped working, everything's going into quite literally. And so the player is tasked with their group, most likely, to go into there, take out the outlaws, and get the facility working again.
So let me get this straight. This is literally a mission to fix the toilets of Levski.
It's not just the toilets. You're also trying to turn on the air. Air's a bit more important. It still works in Levski, but they have like maybe polluted air because it's not being cleaned properly. It's not just for the toilet.
Boot mission.
It's also a little bit more exciting than just going into like some events. It's like a free-layered system where there's 3 chapters. This will be mission-driven and repeatable. Everything from mining to salvage to combat to investigation, a variety of roles. Narratively, it's a real sandbox. Every progression you do will unlock a new area that will link back to previous areas, complexifying the play space.
We've been wanting to have more gameplay around landing zones for a long time. Now that we have instancing tech coming online, that allows us to do something that provides really cool gameplay close to a landing zone.
With the missions, that's what will create different overlays or change the spaces or change the progression, but it'll be the instancing which will enable us to create tailored content to you and your group. So you're going to be able to play a part of it, make your progress, and then log off.
and then the next time you come online, you'll be able to pick up where you left off. It's going to allow players to return back to different states from, depending on how much you've progressed. You'll be able to keep it going until you've reached sort of the end of the whole free chapter.
Takže ta skupina budou mít svoji instanci svých hry, kam se budou moct vrátit a dokončit to nebo sbírat si svoje věci. Zajímavý. Konečně trošku chápu ty instance.
So that's a look at how we'll be allowing players and developers alike to
To
create
je hodně whiteboxu ještě.
rapid experiences within the greatest sandbox of the persistent universe. Okay? Is that it for me at this point, Jared?
Almost. Throw it back to me, and I got one more for you after this.
Back to you, Jared.
Everybody's really excited about the year ahead. So that's a brief look at
No, to se taky těšíme, no.
you and our developers to craft a more curated Star Citizen experience. Now, at this point in the show, we are in the home stretch. We've got only one more segment to go. But before we do that, we wanted to check out. We said earlier in the show that we would look at what you were saying during the show. We looked at how to put YouTube comments on the stream, and it was immediately apparent that we were going to lose our broadcast license, so we're not going to do that. Social media stuff on Twitch though, or not, Twitter, X. What is it called now? Let's see what this says. Let's see. We've got welcome back, Levski from. I'm not wearing my glasses. Oh no. Oh, time to suit up. Let's go get him. Says Ubu.
No a čunky tam. Rubensaurus.
Let's see.
Starlight.
Nice to see you live, Jared.
Funky Fisherman, jo. Santoro, Mr. Kraken. Charlie Oscar taky, jo. No, ty mám všechny ve sledování, myslím taky.
Hey, Stan, is that Lester, sir? Lester? Lester? I've been only in the UK for 3.5 years.
No já nestíhám ještě psát na Twitter, ty vole, při tady tomu.
Tracy, we get that in game? Just that, exactly. Just scan that, put that in game. All right, so that's the reactions we're seeing on social media right now. Before we get to our...
Nix Invalmont, lepší asi zpráva.
I do want to talk a little bit about Big CitizenCon.
Doufejme teda, že dostaneme do evokaty brzo.
Every year CitizenCon is a monumental task for any number of people, whether that's development, marketing, the support teams, the platform teams, everybody comes together to make this thing happen and go off, hopefully without a hitch. And so far, we've been doing all right, other than some stuff in the room here. You know who you are. Yeah, you know. But doing CitizenCon is not always the easiest thing for our developers. You might not assume this, but most game developers are not social butterflies.
No, předpokládáme to, že nejsou vůbec společenský vidínky, no.
They just make digital virtual worlds like this. And then I come in all happy and like, hey, you want to be on video? And they're like, no. And I'm like, it's in your contract. And they're like, oh yeah. So we thought we usually do a we thought we'd do a little bit of it here. The folks in the editorial department put together a brief montage of some of the more candid moments from the filming of CitizenCon over the last couple of weeks. So we're going to spend 2 minutes and take a look at that. Let's see what they put together.
How many CitizenCons have you performed in there?
Performed? Just the one.
No, my first one.
One last year.
2.
A few.
8 or 9, maybe 9 or 10.
Never. Man, I don't know, man.
Did you like doing it?
Yes, I was completely terrified.
It was good. Bit stressful.
The first live one, I was a mess.
Weird combination of going from insane highs to insane lows.
Live ones.
Because
it's over.
That one's pretty special.
Pre-sales are always fun, but the live events are special, aren't they?
Remember when we were at that weird crack house in Anchos?
Right.
I like the live ones. I mean, I love these digital ones. These are the best.
Every time I've done it, it's been a digital one, and I'd like to do one on stage.
It's because you have a restraining order against you, or?
No, I was going to be sick. I was going to lose my stomach.
How hard is it to keep your hands up on the stage?
That's no problem with the lights. I'm realizing through this sentence that I'm closing my eyes as I speak. Do I do that a lot?
I'm a very shy individual, so this is me just trying to get out of my shell.
Getting the crowd to react to the ideas that we've been working on for so long.
We can react. Everybody. Yay!
I can feel your passion from it.
Count me down. 30 seconds. I'm like, do I stand up? Do I sit down? Do I drink? Do I not? Do I talk?
This will be the best one yet. That's right. Because it's nice and short.
Is this all supposed to be usable content? Because I can do different.
Of all your nicknames, why is Moistmaster your favorite?
I think you mean least favourite because it has the word moist in it. I mean, come on.
We'll give you a new nickname by the end of this.
Sounds good. Do
All right.
one.
Let's get started.
Moistmaster.
So for those of you watching at home or the watch parties, you're like, why are we showing that? I put that in there because I'm eternally
Proč ne?
grateful for all of the CIG staff and developers who take the time to appear on these things, whether it's ISC, SCL, CitizenCon, walk on stage, be pre-recorded. It's not the easiest thing for everybody. And on behalf of the community, if I can speak for them in this regard, I want to say thank you for participating in these things each and every year that we have them. Now, let's wrap things up here. So,
Poslední segment, poslední 10 minut.
we've only got one major story left to tell. But before we do
Skladem
that,
42 to nebude asi.
I wanted to do one more check-in on something we started last year. Last year, Rich Tyler took the stage and presented his roadmap to 1.0. And we didn't want to go an entire year without talking to the senior game director himself to get his update on that 1 year later. So we're going to throw it to him and...
No, Rich Tyler, takže budu vám říkat, jak to vypadá z 1.0.
And if you're at a watch party, it's time to get... I was going to say, that's not a word I can say on camera. Let's just throw it back to me. Go to me from 1 week ago.
Road test taky 1.0.
Last year, Senior Game Director Rich Tyler took to the stage and revealed our plan for 1.0. Now, before we end this year's CitizenCon Direct, we wanted to take a few moments and follow up on that reveal from last year, to do as we've done today and look at the year ahead. So, Rich, thanks for taking the time to join us.
You're welcome.
All right, so we're going to jump right into it. Everybody knows the only constant in game development is change. So I'm going to ask you outright, what's changed about the road to 1.0?
Well, fortunately nothing. It still remains our North Star. The team is busy working towards that goal in the background, and every patch this year has moved us towards that goal. And if you haven't watched the Star Citizen 1.0 presentation from last year, I highly recommend you do so, because everything in it is still relevant as of today.
You mentioned every patch this year has moved us towards that goal, so I want to dig deeper into that. We've done, at this point, 9 releases in this year, more than any year prior. How does each one of these not just sit as their own moment in time, but move us forward on this road to 1.0?
Well, last year I discussed the framework of 1.0, how all those complex systems can tie together. And one of the core aspects of that was the main story, which became the spine of the universe, which brought all of the locations, mission givers, guilds, and all the different areas of the game to the players. Now, what I didn't talk about from last year was all the content that was going to support that framework, add the flesh to the bones, should we say. And I think that's where this year has moved us towards that goal. If you think about previous events of previous years, they've generally been locations that we've put into the verse, but they've been transient. We've taken them away, like Siege of RYZEN or Zenith Threat. We've added them to game, and then they've been moved away. And I think
No,
the addition of the
to je pravda, no. Dali se to tam, pak to zase zmizelo. To by měl běžet furt.
to the world that not only have their own story as when we release them with the patches, but they'll also become points of interest and areas that the larger 1.0 narrative will utilize.
Since we're on story, I'm going to stay with this here. Since we launched the PU back in 2015, it's always been this sandbox where players can do what they want. They can bring their own story to the burst, and that'll never change. But how important is it that we also build this concurrent narrative of our own, this crafted experience, if you will, alongside that?
Well, we're trying to create a living, breathing universe. And that includes both the player stories that you mentioned, that they can go and enjoy and create their own memories together. But it also means that we want to have a universe that gives back. We want areas and locations to feel like they're believable and real-life locations. And if you look throughout this year and the patches that we've worked towards, we've had an overarching story that's moved from patch to patch, and we're going through some of those cycles right now. We've also been introducing mission content that has fully voiced dialogue and facial animation, which allows us to inject some of the meaning and the why to what we're doing as a player. And I think story is integral to Star Citizen as a connective tissue that ties all of these different complex systems together, because it takes players on that journey throughout the game.
Takže příběhy nás spojujou, okay.
Injecting story in the verse. I think people are really responding to it. So everybody knows, and you mentioned just now that this year we changed a whole lot about how we operate and how we release things. How do you think that's gone?
I think it's gone very well. I think if the mantra that I've always been pushing this year, right at the beginning of January, was patch always goes. And I think this year has seen a different development strategy for how we've been moving the game forward. That's where this different strategy has allowed us to really take a wider approach. And we also have to remember that Star Citizen is played by tens of thousands of players every day. And while we have lofty future goals, we still have to make decisions right now that make the game fun for the people that are playing it. If you look at previous years, we've had to hold a patch back, we've had to make concessions, mainly due to around a feature may not have been ready or right to go into there.
There were 3 months, 4 months, sometimes 5 months between
Exactly,
patches.
And I don't think that's good for anybody. I don't think it's good for the players. I don't think it's good for
No, 3.18 trvalo, ty vole.
better to have
To
regular
bylo strašný.
drops. One good example is this year for A Line of Mine. People probably don't know, but A Line of Mine, when you turned on the laser, it was actually supposed to reveal the sound word Valor. And I played it, and it didn't hit the quality that I wanted to go into the game. So we changed, and I took it out, and I made that decision alongside Chris and Erin, and we've held that back, and we're going to work on that towards a future patch. But I think definitely the more regular cadences has had the multiple benefits, and like I said, I want to dispel a myth right here, right now. Like, features are still being worked on quite heavily in the background, from radar and scanning, from FPS, the new quantum, to inventory, engineering, and crafting, and all of those features are going to be coming very, very soon for players to get their hands on. And, you know, I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to sit here and say that if I was to go back to the start of the year, I would hope that we would have released more features. But I also think every decision we've made this year has been through the lens of making the live experience as stable and as good as possible.
Aha, pracovali na stabilitě, jo, opravdu, no, ty vole, to tak nevypadá, ty vole, že by pracovali tak na stabilitě, to je úplně strašný, jo. Ale zlepšilo se to v hodně ohledech, to je zase na druhou stranu, vzhledem k tomu, že jedna grafické rozhraní od vulkánu, tak to občas spadne, crash desktop to dělá. No, tak snad to vymákají líp a nebude to stávat. Naštěstí vždycky se vrátím na to místo, kde jsem přesně byl, což funguje perfektně.
I think the biggest thing is to start having that conversation the two way. So if you think about this year, like you mentioned, we're having fully voiced NPCs, but a lot of those missions and those NPCs, they're talking to you, they're talking at you. Right. You don't get to talk back to them. Now obviously you get to interact with them through your actions, you get to go and do their mission, you get to move that along, and then they talk to you again. But it's a one-way conversation.
We're missing that conversation wheel.
Exactly. The next part would be physical mission givers. that's something that we're going to be working towards very soon, with the tagger being the first one coming back in the verse. And just to be clear, we will be bringing all the mission givers eventually back, and we want them to be
takže mission givers původní se tam vrátí všichni.
story that players go in and enjoy. We want the
Twitch,
locations to be brought to life. And as
týpek na Grimexu, feťák a
interactive scenes,
týpek sedící v hospodě.
and obviously the full end goal is towards
Pak ten týpek dám pro tepot a podobně.
and that is what we're going to be pushing towards. Everything we do, every decision we make is through the lens of moving us closer to 1.0. It might sometimes be difficult to see why those decisions have been made at the time they've been made, but rest assured that starcitizen 1.0 is still our North Star. That's what we're still aiming towards, and that's what we're going to be moving forward in every patch next year as well.
I'm remembering when mission givers were first introduced, they sometimes became a bottleneck. Is there a role in instancing, which we learned about earlier today? Is there a role for instancing in that, in helping with mission givers?
Yes, partially. It will be one mechanism that will allow us to have players go to their own individual area of the verse, have that conversation, and then go and continue on into the open world environment. So I think that's where, when we look at instancing provides us one tool that allows us to remove that bottleneck and provide a more seamless experience.
I'm happy you said that, because that's one of our last topics I want to get to, is how we reconcile instancing with the persistent universe. Like, for the last 10 years now, we've been building this giant, seamless, persistent universe where everybody can come in and play together. And it would be easy to have a first instinct reaction to the idea of instancing and say that's antithetical to everything that Star Citizen. But you mentioned last year these 3 pillars of building Star Citizen and PU, and I want to, you said nothing changed, but I want to ask you about this specifically. What are those 3 pillars again, and how does instancing fit within the greater design of Star Citizen?
So the 3 pillars I mentioned last year were open world. That's just like the missions you love today. You can go and play, there's other players there, and you can go and enjoy that together. Then we have instancing, which I'll talk a bit about more, but similar to municipal works that we've talked about previously. And then the 3rd pillar was dynamic content, which would be content that's generated by the activities of the players. And I think it's very easy to become myopic around one specific thing when we're talking about it a lot, when it's the next stage of our development. And I think you could reverse it. If we'd have made a game that was all instance, and then I'd come on camera and said, hey guys, we're going to start doing an open world, it would be like, oh, is the game changing? Are we doing open world now? Is open world the new North Star that's going to take us this way? And it's not. It's just one more tool that's going to allow us to offer different and dynamic experiences for players to go and engage in. Now, when I talk about instancing isn't always what you'd imagine as a solo instance experience where it's only just you. We're going to have several different versions of instances. Some closed instances, which will be like the new player experience. We'll be able for you to go in by yourself, for us to teach you the ropes in a safe environment so that you can understand how to play the complex game that we've made. But we'll also have open instances, like a cantina or a bar, where we might say, hey, we only want 50 people to come in here because we've got mission givers and we've got other NPCs for you to talk to, and you would just walk in and it would be seamless. You wouldn't know that there was an instance, it's not going to get a loading screen, you would just seamlessly walk into that location, it will be full of other players and NPCs, and you can go and enjoy the content. And that's, I think, something that is going to provide us. It's going to give us a tool to offer different dynamic content or curated content, as I say. It allows us to create experiences that are different to the open world experiences that we've already made. And it's not to say that we won't continue our open world development or only do instance content. It's going to be a mix. And like I said, this is one of the pillars that will move towards 1.0. We will eventually work on dynamic content that will move towards 1.0. And all 3 of those pillars will interweave to create the full Star Citizen experience.
All right, so we've hit a lot of the bigger topics, the feature work, engineering, and
FPS crafting coming to tech previews soon, stuff like this. We talked about it.
No, přijde to brzo do těch preview, jo? Crafting a engineering, jo? No. Co by to bylo?
Those of us who spend our days making it know better. It's an everything. It's everything we can make a game. It just is. But at the core of this is still spaceships. That life of spaceships. What more can you tell us about spaceship gameplay in the future? What can you give us? What can you tee up for us to look forward to for those of us who are really into Star Citizen with spaceships?
Our intentions going forward are to make sure that every ship or ship archetype that you acquire has a role and has content that you can go and enjoy in the universe. For example, right now I know that we're working on more robust mining missions, more robust salvage missions. We're going to be working on refueling missions. And we want to make sure that each and every one of the ship has a purpose, has a reason to exist in the game. That's from the smallest.
Takže se budou soustředit na to, aby každá loď měla svůj význam a svůj roli ve hře. Speciální. To bude zajímavý. Tam skoro vlastně 30 lodí nebo kolik.
And I think 2026 is going to be a very good year to Star Citizen. And I think there's going to be something that's very interesting and something that a lot of people have been waiting for. But rather than me spoil it, I'll let Ian and the team go into details on that.
Ian, take it away.
Místo pro lodě.
During that time, we've created lots of gameplay systems, we've added hundreds of locations, we've added lots of mission activities for different purposes, combat, cargo, mining, salvaging. But for combat ships, the only thing you've been able to do is fight other combat ships. In 2026, this changes. We're going to be delivering a spaceship-focused activity space which incentivizes the use of different gameplay roles. These are going to be scenarios where you're going to have to plan and strategize and create operational tactics to overcome your objective. So what you're going to see is very early. It's early in the pipeline process, and it's going to come around.
Takže speciální mise pro každou loď zvlášť. Nebo každý typ lodě zvlášť. Tak co nám ukážete? Taktický úderní skupiny, jo.
The People's Alliance are still trying to get to the bottom of what this new faction is really doing in the next system.
They've sent a capital ship to check out the station and run into more than they can take care of themselves.
Unfortunately, that team came under attack and members of their groups were taken hostage. Now they've reached out to Intersect, who've reached out to you to help recover the pilot. Of course, it's unwise to do this alone, so you'll need to put a team together to attack the station.
When you arrive, you will have this big asteroid, broken asteroid, and on this you will have this space where you will find three big arms. You will see in the middle you will have this big energy core. Everything here has a purpose. It's not just for the show, just something nice to see.
You'll see People's Alliance interests just on the outside. It's going to be getting harassed by this unknown faction that you've met before.
So your first objective here is to clear out ships. There'll be waves of these ships, so this is where you want your light or your medium or your heavy fighters, whichever playstyle you prefer.
So while one part of your group is dealing with fighters, now it's time to actually assault the station.
This station has been outfitted to resist all of the obvious wave attacks.
Somehow they've incorporated Vanduul capital ship killing turrets. These turrets ignore small fighters and they have the firepower to destroy even the biggest battleships.
If you get it close, it will get shredded. The idea of these is so we can sort of make it so we can mix up that ship combat and not everyone can just bring the biggest ship and win just because they have the biggest ship.
Dobře.
You have to send out your best pilots to navigate superstructure and take down anything that may damage your bigger ships. So at this point you're thinking destroy the turrets, but it's not that easy. This turret has shields that you've never seen before. It won't take any kind of damage. Your missiles won't do anything, your lasers won't do anything, your ballistics won't do anything to them. But like everything, they do have a weakness. You have to cut power to their shields. To do that, that actually brings you to your first objective, the power relays.
So the exterior has a number of power relays that are holding the doors closed so you can't get in.
You have to find them, you have to target them, and you have to destroy them. But it may not be as easy as it seems.
Here's our first wrinkle. The power relays have their own shields that are resistant to energy matrix attacks.
We know how much you like using laser repeaters, but so do these guys.
Capital ship can't get close enough because of the turrets.
So ships with explosive or ballistic ordnance will be needed here. That's torpedo ships like your Retaliator or Gladiator, or even another fighter with ballistics loadout. That's going to take you a while.
Vtipný.
Once the power relays have been taken down, the station opens up.
And this is where things get really cool.
Now it's time for you to fly your ship inside the station.
Yeah. You, in your ship, fly into the superstructure of the station.
I feel like this is a proud dad move.
We're just going to call it what it is. It's a trench run. So as you enter the structure, you'll see cool units along the sides until you take out.
Aha, Star Wars. Jasně.
There's 3 arms to the station that have each trenches. You'll fly into one, and then there'll be a hole in the center, and then you'll move out another trench.
You're either going to do it multiple times, or you need to bring friends.
At this point, the core is still protected, so these are essentially straight runs.
There are objects to avoid. You're going to have to be able to dodge. You're going to have to move quickly.
No co, když to zastavím? Jo, musím se pohybovat rychle, jo.
So once the cooling units are out, that exposes the core to overheat, which means that you can attack it from the inside and also from exhaust ports on the outside of the station. This core is armored and just takes a whole lot of damage.
No je to ze Star Wars, jasný. Úplně Star Wars, maximum.
Why is that important? Because during all of this you spend a lot of ammo and munitions and ballistics, and you're going to want to top up.
This is where we're going to get our new feature in. Ship hangar refueling and rearming. You're going to be able to land in the hangar of select ships and be able to use the same interface as you are right now at stations to refuel and rearm.
It's specifically for ships like the Idris and the Polaris and other ships that are designed to have other ships land inside them.
Of course, it'll be more than just those 2 ships, and you'll find out more once we get closer to release. But this is a really important feature that we're really excited to get out.
If you're not bringing your own Idris, People's Alliance has an Idris there that can provide a safe port in a storm, allow you to set back up and head back out.
And it's a good thing that you've rearmed and refueled too, because now another group of ships is coming to attack the People's Alliance Idris. fighters are protecting the interests, what's happening at the station? Well, that's where the dropships come in.
Now you've got to take a fire team in. You've got to land, you've got to fight through an onslaught of FPS enemies that belong to this unknown faction, and you've got to open a hangar door which will allow you to release captives from the station. After you've opened the doors and that person's taken off, you've just got to make sure they get to safety.
So at this point, all of this sounds pretty simple, but there's an additional complication.
So up until this point, it's just been you versus the enemies in the station. But the enemies in the station have their own enemies.
The Vandal neighbors who really don't like these guys for some reason will come in and wreak havoc on everything.
And they're not going to discriminate between you and the station.
Takže nakonec ještě Vandulové to tam přijdou řídit, výborně.
When you alert the Vandal by destroying the power core that the station's now vulnerable, you're on a time limit. Vandal are coming, they're going to come hard, they're going to keep coming, you're going to have one hell of a fight.
To je dobře. Co pak, ty vole. Překvapení nakonec.
Tactical strike groups. I'm personally so invested in this. So throughout 2025, we created a variety of content. Some of it was very focused on FPS combat. So personally, driving a more vehicle-based experience was very important to me. This is a defining statement that I want to do in 2026. We're a spaceship game. There are prized possessions. To the objects we fall in love with. This is the content we want to create, which creates scenarios and roles for you to use those spaceships. We won't get to all roles initially, but we should see this as a landmark, a position where we can see a gameplay space which incentivizes the use of different ships and scenarios to clear objectives and complete missions in a variety of roles. And in the future, we can use this to expand on. So I hope you're all just as excited as I am for tactical strike groups. They're going to be fantastic.
To budeš potřebovat pár lidí vleze na dohromady, no, aby se tady to udělalo. To nebude solo mise, vole.
Okay. Why do you still have the puppet? John, come home. All right, so tactical strike groups. It's been a long road for the last 10 years. The PU's been around. We've done lots to build stuff for mining ships and for salvage ships, and as Rich said, we're currently building out even more for those, and our first refueling missions coming online in 2026. But combat missions. Oh, hi, Aaron Roberts. But finally having enough of the foundation in place that we can begin to build real spaceship operations. Hesitate, in any other MMO they call dungeons. It's really exciting for me, and that's why we're ending the show this year with that. So that's been CitizenCon Direct.
Dungeons, vole, pro starcitizencz, děkujeme.
Share this with us. Again, this is just a glimpse at some of what's coming in 2026. I've seen the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat like, oh, you're spoiling everything. I promise, we ain't. So, before we let you go, that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as with every CitizenCon, the last word shouldn't be mine. It should belong to our founders and CEO. So take it away, Chris Roberts.
I hope you enjoyed this glimpse into some of what the team is cooking for the near future. Of course, we're not going to spoil everything that's currently in progress, and many features we haven't discussed today are in active development, like base building, social, and trade tools that are very much a priority.
No,
These,
jasně,
along with bringing the
socials,
final
base
polish
building.
features from Squadron 42 into the persistent universe, will make next year the most exciting yet for Star Citizen. Finally, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone at CIG for working so tirelessly and with so much passion to deliver something that is already special and will only get more so as we continue. And of course, to all of you for making all this possible with your support and feedback. We couldn't do this without all of you, something that I and the team appreciate every day. We are very lucky to be allowed the time and the money to build a game of all of our dreams. Something that is only more apparent as the video game business becomes more monolithic. We are one of the few large independents left standing, and there is no way we would be allowed to dream as big as we are on an original game and take the time to achieve that dream if we were part or funded by any of the few remaining mega game companies. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing you all in the verse this coming year.
Jo. Podíváme se na to. Takže konečná. 34 000 lidí. To bylo pěkný, no. Takže to bylo asi úplně všechno. No. Podíváme se na ty nové lodě. Máme tady otevřený. Jo, tak to skončilo. Takže tohle zavřem. A podíváme se na slátaninu nejdřív. Což je bez nejlepší z nejhorších. Ježišmarja. Osekaný kutlas. Složený z různých dílů. To má ještě tady motory, ty vole. Speciální turet, vole. Modded with Anvil, Misk, Drake. Nečekaný. 163 AUEC. 10letým pojištěním 181, ty vole, zvládnili. To je nějaký barvy na to. Po $10. Kup to. Stentelon prostě $163. Tady ten bastl. Ty vole. Neuvěřitelné. Další tady je Anvil. Paladin. Vypadá zajímavě na tom. Defend Empire, no jo. Fotka ze spoda. Ten bude zase OP, vole, než to znerfnou pro další lodi. Ty vole, be prepared. No, zajímavě to vypadá. Taková valkýra. Trošku osekaná. Tady koukám, jaký barvy na to. $4.32 bude release, jo, takže to teďkon, vole. Tady koukám, jestli... Takže se podíváme, co to je jako update, jo. Takže musíme updatenout, protože asi tam jsou ty nový lodě v PTU. Dobrý. Takže Paladin tady za necelých 400. No ty vole, nekup to. Ty vole, 10leté pojištění $423. Jo. Ty krávo. Tady to je jenom... Tady to taky je 10letý. Jo, tak tam to je Warbot vlastně. OK. Ty vole, 393 očí. Tady nějaký barvy na to. 6 kousků. 2, 3, 5, 6 kousků, no. Ne, 5 kousků a jeden pack. OK. Tak zatím nechcem a tady, vole. Vandulská loď, Xperia. Jo, tady má nějakou animaci. No to, že to je tak velký a nemá to vevnitř žádný prostor, to je škoda, no. Ale nějakou firepower to má pěknou, no, nějak tyhle to vlastně bude mít trošku kosící sílu. Ten Vanguard, jasně, no. No, ty vole. To je docela velký, no. Kdyby pohled mohl zabíjet, no. Jsem fokus. Tady ta speciální bouchačka. Tady jsou barvy nějaký. Black Widow, jo. Mamba, nějaký černý. Pec, vole, zelená je pěkná. Death Stalker. Zajímavý. Tady to vypadá ze předu, z boku, ze spoda, ze zora. Jo, to je ze zora. A tady to je za nějakých 300 pade. Ty vole. Stinger. Ty křídláš na zem, to je docela pěkný. Zajímavý. Paladin, tady už to je všecko pryč. Apollo. Co tady? 5 giga. To bude chvíli trvat. Tady se podívám, jo, PTU updated, ano, updatujeme. Takže Paladin tam je, koukám. Ne, není potřeba copy account. Všichni tady pochvalil Paladina, že to je, vole, dobrý. No.
This is an audio test.
running multiple patches.
Takže to jsme viděli, ale tak se podíváme znova, než se nám to tady downloadne 4 giga.
Ideal situation for the People's Alliance, who were a group of revolutionaries who were trying to overthrow the dictatorship of the Messers that was going on in the empire at the time.
So they went to the next system and established what became known as Levski. They wanted to make it everything that the UEE wasn't at this time.
They set up what they saw as their ideal society, where everyone's voices would be heard, where everyone would be equal. But they'd fallen onto hard times. So NICS today is kind of at an interesting point in its history. Now that the UEE has kind of transformed itself into a democratic society.
Nevím, zajímalo, jak to tam stříkal ve váku. Shit.
They see their role still trying to create a free and fair society. But on the other hand, they have more problems than ever, and there's new threats lurking around at every corner. And they have to ask, are they prepared to handle that? Or do they need to turn to the UEE for help?
Making a star system is you approach it from kind of two angles in a weird way. What is this system bringing to the gallery? How does this new system...
To je hustý. NICS bude za měsíc, ty vole. Další věcný systém. Těšíme se na to.
So the NICS system is a remote system where people want to go and live free outside of the pressure and influence of the UEE. It's a remote and rugged system with a lot of hostility coming from the ever-present threat of Pandora.
It's kind of like a frontier-esque thing. It's not lawless like Pyro, it's just kind of out there. Pyro's more like a Mad Max wasteland, and NICS is more like Silverado or like Deadwood, right? It's kind of like a smaller scope.
The emptiness is the defining factor. You're still going to find gangs, you're still going to find hostile presences, but it's where people go if they want to live off the grid.
The People's Alliance is the main peacekeeping force in NICS.
They were unhappy with the direction that the empire was going under the Messers. They got out. They said, we're just going to start from scratch, build our own society, and build it the way that we think it needs to be built.
They're not perfect. They're just people, but they're doing their best. They want to help keep NICS safe and make it prosper.
They are trying to do the best that they can, but are faced with the realities of dealing with people, which is tricky.
The Pyro Star is quite a warm star. Sentinel Star is quite neutral. And the NICS is a little bit cooler. The system has a star and it has this dark, really, really dense gas, sort of nebulous cloud. And it has points of light scattered around it, and those points of light in this gas cloud is really, really hazy.
Shit. Jsem se opřel o mikrofon, sorry. To nebylo záměrný. No, čekáme, až se mi to stáhne. My jsme se mohli podívat na ty nové lodě. Jsou tam 3. To docela pěkný peníze. Od $163 až po $390.
See that sort of like sparkle, and then when you look away from the sun, you'll see the reflections and sort of like little glints of light. For the jump points in NICS, we'll have 2 on this release. We'll have
Spire to NICs and one from Stanton to NICs. It should be going from NICs.
Budou 2 červí díry do NICSu. Spire samozřejmě a ze Stantonu. Glacian Pass belt, říkal Glacian.
Glacian belt is a combination of a bunch of technologies that we already had. That sort of field we use planetary rings and gas clouds. And it's
To vypadá hodně pěkně, no. Jsem moc fakt zvědavej tady to, ty vole. Spoustu šutráků, do kterých se dá narazit velice rychle. Zničit svoje vydělaný, vole, peníze, vole. Pokud něco bude naloděno z jinýho. A ještě giga. Lukáš Chovanec. Překvapení. Delamar. Obrovský šutrák s dírou prostřed, která se jmenuje Levsky. Stejně divný, že pojmenovali šutrák a ještě stanici vevnitř Levsky, proč to nepojmenovali prostě jenom Levsky. Nechápu. Tam kulí s tím karakem, ty vole. Ale jak to může kulit, když má vysunutý podvozek? No. Má podvozek, vole, vysunutý, vole. Co vám uniklo, hošani? Tady to by mělo být trošku jinak. Takže pojďme na to, podíváme se na nějaké lodičky. Nový. Oni jsou pěkný, ale to nebudu za tady to odrazit reální peníze. To si koupím, počkám, ale pár pačů a koupím si to ve hře. Možná toho Andula, ten vypadá zajímavě. Možná uvidíme, jak nebe. Zkusíme ten zbastlený kutlas, jak se tváří, to bude taky zajímavý. To zahodíme. Shit. O, prdlejf. jsem to provedl, já blbec. Špatný tlačítko. Odchod na párek, preview. Accept, nazdar. Skip. Hmm. 427 serverové, ty vole, ty kontroly. Trošku nabito, tak si počkáme chvíli. No, to běží to docela rychle. No, ne zase tak rychle. Asi nápor. Nápor velký. Hodně lidí se chce podívat na nový lodě, který jsou zatím zadáčo. Na vyzkoušení. 402. Pomežilina. Ty vole, toto ubírá pomalu, ty vole, teda. Servery v Amazonu hřejí. Pravděpodobně hodně, ty vole, fakt jako dost pomalý. Čtyři, 3, 2, Fractured Frontiers. Nikam nespěchají, 38. No. Tam skáče po 6-7 hráčích, ty vole. To je dobrá fronta. Tak nějaký lidi držkou, že mají jenom jednu loď, ty vole, že musí dělat rekopy, ty vole, cože, počkat, vole. Stinger tam není, jo? Shift není. Ty vole, 30 minut jsou některý lidi ve hře, ty vole, ty jsou ostrý, ty vole, ty na to, vole, chystali, ty vole, dobře, no. Taky ten člověk, co mě sledoval, tak odešel. Škoda. Nemůžu za to, že tak dlouho trvá. Nápor je nápor. Servery v Amazonu hoří. RIP CIG server budget, vole, pro tady ten měsíc, vole, no. Asi jo, no. Tam taky vlastně bylo, tohle tam nebylo, tohle jenom proč tady to taky ne, to tam bylo jenom takhle na 5 sekund, takže taky ne, Zoom, samozřejmě, CitizenCon, Penalty Finder, ne, Paladin, korekt. Perseus, ne. Terra, ne. A Astra taky ne. Kurva, to byl otazník. To bychom měli. 4, 5, 6, 7... 10, 11, 12, 13. 24 věcí, no. Zajímavý. No, už se blížíme, 100 lidí. Přede mnou pouze. Dokonce týpek si ho koupil, vole, a nemá ho. Tak to se taky přidal do reportu. Už to blíží. Takže vandulská šipka chybí v PTUčku. Podle všech informací, ty druhý dvě by tam měly být. Tak se podíváme aspoň na ně, když už nic jiného. Pojďme do toho. 24, 26, ježišmarja. Tak do minuty bych tam měl být, ne? Pokud to nezasekne na entities, jako obvykle. No, posledních 6. Come on. Jeden. Tak hop. Zase nová obrazovka. Entities